Scene. How are you getting on, everybody? Welcome to the first proper Dead Jesus Radio podcast. Last week we were a drunken mess. So we have in with us today Mr. Conall McMahon, next of Mike Got Spiked, and a fantastic all-round lovely individual.
How's it going?
How are you getting on, lad?
I'm alright, I'm alright. Found my way out to the wild northern lands of Rush here on the on the bus.
He even remembered the number. He's like, that's 33, isn't it? I'm like, Jesus, man, you really are the public transport.
If you want to know how to get around Dublin, ask a culture.
Yeah, or download the Dublin Bus app. How are you getting on there? But yeah, so Conall, he's in a band that basically they shared bills. My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, Dillinger, Head Automa, Anthrax, Biffy Clyro. He's done a little bit. Chapman Society, Val Normal as well.
Yeah, Val Normal, yeah.
Yeah, he's done a bit, and the guy's toured around America a numerous amount of times, couple of albums. So he's been around the block, and he kind of knows what he's talking about. I think.
I like to create that impression.
Yeah, this kind of this air of knowing what he's on about. So
overall,
that's a little intro.
A ruddy good first guest. Yeah,
it's a ruddy. Yeah, I was kind of thinking would we get Bosco in or something to get one of us to kind of go, but now we get Conall in, it'd be grand.
Second best, Bosco.
So firstly, Conall.
Right, what am I getting myself in for?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm getting myself in for. You're a Carrickmacross man yourself.
I am indeed, born and bred up in Carrickmacross, County Monaghan.
Oh, jeez.
Lovely
the motherland.
lovely spot.
The motherland, yeah.
Cavanagh country.
Cavan or Kavanagh? No, but
it's near Cavan as well, but you know.
So tell me this: what made you first start playing guitar, and when was your first gig?
Oh, right. Well, first gig to go to was Def Leppard. Actually, that was my silver medal because I wasn't allowed to go see Guns N' Roses in Slane. Yeah, because I think the RTE guide did a big thing on Guns N' Roses are coming to Slane. They are the most dangerous band in the world. Inverted commas, that was their trademark, and Dad was like, "Fuck no, you going to that." So
they've substituted the word most dangerous band in the world to the most prickest band in the world. Yeah,
is that their official tagline?
Yeah, the biggest pricks
it's funny
in the world
that
now,
the RTE guide used to like cover music and good music at that. Now we just kind of cover like Eurostar and The Voice, that's it really.
I haven't actually read an RTE guide in a long time now. Probably
the Christmas edition.
The Christmas edition's still pretty good.
It was handy back then because we only had like 6 channels, so I mean you could contain it all in a book that you could
get UTV in a good day. Like it'll depend on the reception.
Well, I was far enough north that we got the BBC and the Channel 4 and the UTV and all that as well. Yeah, and then Back of the Bog 1 and Back of the Bog 2.
Back of the
Local access.
So Def Leppard, where was that in the Point Depot?
That was the
Point
Depot in the round. Yeah, that was amazing.
Did he have his arm at the time, or was
he
this
didn't know?
after?
This was
post arm.
This was after the.
It's like post rock. There's like post arm. So Def Leppard, what do you play? Like we're kind of like a blend of post arm.
Yeah. This back, we were still using the electronic kit at the time. Yeah, and.
The boo boo.
Yeah, it was.
Did you ever see the movie like that was on VH1 about 10 years ago? It was like the Def Leppard story, and I don't know what the actors were. They must have been paying them in fucking bacon fries.
It was
an
actual movie.
Yeah. Must have been paying them in bacon fries.
Totally missed
it. The man who played Rick Allen's like
did he actually get a guy with one arm, or did he have to hold it behind his back?
I think they used up all the CGI budget on the fucking.
The budget was used purely on the
arm.
It's like, would it not be easier to get a one-arm guy and CGI in an arm at the start rather than having to CGI it out for the most of the movie?
We have him in a cast. So that was your first gig, and did you walk away from the Def Leppard gig thinking, I want to pursue this as a full-time career and get loads of chicks and get loads of STDs?
Well, you see, by then, I think I actually really got into music in like 1990, 91. I was introduced to Thunderstruck by AC/DC. The minute I heard that, I was like,
it's now a wedding classic.
A wedding classic?
Yeah. It is a fucking wedding classic.
It is.
Listen, I've been to so many weddings in the last year. But that was the one. And before I started playing in a wedding band, which is what I do now, but even before then, whenever Thunderstruck comes on at the wedding, I was always that fucker. There's always one, the first one to roll up the suit
and
the
tie
around the tie around.
Yeah. Lads, I'm ready.
Let's rock this bitch.
So 1990, 91, that would have been around the cusp of when grunge was about to break out from Seattle, and nice Alice in Chains and Nirvana.
That was just before the whole grunge explosion. So I got into like Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and Metallica around then, and then a couple of years like 92, Rage Against the Machine, Nirvana. But then it was game over. Especially like Nirvana, like. Speaking as a musician, you'd say like Kurt Cobain, not the most amazing guitar player ever, but by far the most influential guitar player because he wrote amazing songs with like 3, maybe 4 chords.
Yeah,
And suddenly it just spawned a whole generation of garage bands. People going, I can do that. Get a couple of mates, make some noise, have some fun.
Yeah. That's a good point, because a lot of people before that thought you had to be a virtuoso. They thought like, not particularly over here, like the likes of Poison and Whitesnake was more of an American problem or grunge, but over here, like, like
every song has to have a shredding solo, or 2 solos.
Had to be a galloping riff and everything. Like, he broke the simplicity down. I remember actually even on YouTube yesterday, there's a guy who said, he was Irish. He said, I just don't get it. I don't get the whole Kurt Cobain thing. But I think it's of a certain age group. I think he was about 50. I think he was more used to... And I mean, I'm not don't mean to say there's no 50-year-old Nirvana fans, but I think
my dad majority. My dad loves Nevermind. He's 60.
Yeah.
And I come home so many times and he's pissed, and I'm like,
some people think because the riffs were so simplistic that it's not good.
Yeah.
No, I think your favorite pop song.
Oh, jeez. Well, I think at the time as well, like at the time it was like brand new, like nothing I'd ever heard, because I was still pretty young and getting into music. But I mean, I heard later that, Kurt Cobain, when he was first trying to explain what he was doing to people, said, I want something that's kind of like a mixture between the Beatles and Black Sabbath.
That's right, and a bit of Pixies
has the melody, but has the simple, heavy riffs, and that's pretty much what he did. Right. And he wasn't the first to do it, but it just
big time.
They just exploded for whatever reason when Smells Like Teen Spirit just was the song. Of
will it ever 90s, Will it ever happen again? A big band like sludgy, heavy kind of band to take the world by storm.
The goalposts have shifted somewhat. Like, I'm not too sure. I don't see any heavy revolution at the moment.
Well, the problem is I see a lot of heavy music out, or these bands that they have, they're big.
It's more DIY at the moment,
Well, not even that. It's become polished pop as well. You have all these kids with the same hairdo. They look like a Disney movie channel, whatever crap. But I
agree with you.
And they're like, 14 years old with a broken heart. It's like, that's so lame. You got your big tube distortion and all this, but you're still playing saccharine pop.
Yeah. Miley Cyrus kind of music, like.
I prefer to listen to some Justin Timberlake than that, because at least that's good pop music.
Quality.
Yeah, JT had it going on.
Not wrong with JT.
So did you pick up the guitar around the same time as you were listening to these bands, or was that a few years later?
Well, I'd actually started playing guitar. My mum had a guitar lying around from when I was growing up, so I mean, I learned a couple of chords when I was really young, like 7 or 8 or whatever, and there was a piano. I started playing piano in school, and I was did a few exams, and that got up to grade 5. By then, I kind of begged my parents to let me quit piano because I was sick to death of playing scales every day. And
the entertainer wasn't doing it for you anymore.
Well, I mean, you're playing this kind of chamber music and stuff like this, for exams, and it's all set, it's all sight reading, and I wanted to play to create, and
there was some man with a mohair jumper and a Dennis the Menace top and blonde hair on the telly last night. He wasn't doing that, man. Can I be him?
Even before that, like, I mean, when I was about 10 or 11, I got into Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet, which is an amazing album still, but back then it was like, this is rock.
It was before we were old enough to realize.
It starts off with women orgasming, doesn't it?
I was too young.
Really?
Yeah, if you listen, the first track has like a kind of women orgasming in the background, a tiny bit almost.
Yeah, maybe that's what attracted my young attention. I was too young to know what it was.
Didn't know what it was.
That sounds like something I'd like to hear more.
That John Bon Jovi sounds like he's hurting them
for that noise. I'd really like to be responsible for the guitar noise as well. But, But so with that time, I was like, okay, well, I can play a few chords on the piano. I'm gonna start learning keyboards, and so I worked out how to play "Living on a Prayer" on the piano. The left hand.
Be an El Bon Jovi band hanging out there, like, for keys.
This was fantastic because in my secondary school, our music teacher had just left.
Yeah,
we had like a free class that was like, music. Well, it's like, you can sit down and do your homework or whatever for this half hour. Yeah, I'm like, well, I play piano, and there's a piano in the room. Like, this music class, like, can we do a bit of music for the laugh? So I said, okay, I'll play piano, and I started Living on a Prayer. I said, does anyone here know how to sing Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer? And
7 lads put their hand up.
Well, one guy put up his hand, and that was Gavin. Singer of Michael Spikes, as myself and himself were in the same class.
That's pretty romantic kind of.
It was, and that's where it all started, really. That we said, right, we're going to start a band.
Because that was the next thing I was going to ask you.
Sounds like a Tom Hanks kind of rom-com. I'm liking this.
It is, yeah.
We met on the streets of Carrick.
It was meant to be, We'll make it, I swear.
But who would have known 20 years later you would have been singing that drunk in a van somewhere down the highway in America.
We've actually started playing that in the wedding band I now play in, so my career has come full circle.
You shed a nostalgic
Your
tear.
proudest moment.
Yeah.
So that was the Bon Jovi influence. So
that's where it all started. So yeah, I was going to be in a band with Gavin. He was going to be the singer. Possibly rhythm guitar player.
First riff you ever learned, even?
I was going to be the keyboard player.
Okay.
Or maybe I was going to get a keytar. One of those would be fucking awesome. I really, I want to have one just to have one, because they're even for a joke. But the only one I've seen so far is about $3,000, and that's a bit expensive just for a throwaway joke. I'd probably buy another guitar.
You could have gone for 20 quid a few years ago. Oh, it's retro. Put the price up.
No.
So that's grand. So what age were you when you and Gav got the band going? Were you in a band with Gav for all the way through your teenage years?
I got my first electric guitar when I was 14 because my parents couldn't afford to buy me a keytar. So they got me like a little Strat copy and a little 2.5 watt amp for about 50 quid for the two of them. I'm not an amazing. It was like the sort of thing you buy your kid. It was like, he wants to play guitar, but I'm not going to spend a fortune because he could turn around and say, I don't like this because I did that with sports and stuff. I got my parents to buy me football shorts, football top, football shoes, football socks. I went to one practice and I don't like football.
I don't like football.
So after that, they learned they weren't going to buy me a fucking keytar.
It's like, listen, we've already wasted our hard-earned cash on football shorts.
So I went down to Cummiskey's in Dundalk. I don't know if that shop is even still there.
Couldn't even tell you. Any Dundalk people, do you know?
Google.
It's one of these proper Irish shops. It's it's not just guitars. It's guitars.
It's a funeral directors.
There were prams and buggies on one side and guitars on the other.
Yeah.
Or then you go to Blackrock, there was McHughes or Danny Hughes.
Still there. I got my
buckets and spades in the front, and then chips in the middle, and then musical instruments at the back.
God bless Danny. It could have been the worst drum kit in the world, but fantastic. Conall.
Fantastic. Nostalgia.
It's still there, I think.
Is it? Yeah. I think I've heard about it.
It's legendary, that place.
It's if anybody out there is aware of this little village between Rush and Skerries, it's called Loch Shinny. It was basically like having Waltons in the middle of Loch Shinny. It was like bucket and spades and loads of drum kits.
Blackrock.
Yeah, it was like that. Blackrock reminds me of Loch Shinny, just this one horse town, just nothing out there.
It's an amazing town that as well, because when the tide comes in, it's right there. When the tide goes out, you can pretty much walk to fucking England.
Yeah, that's right. You're around Carlingford Loch, how are you doing? So, you and Gavin, when did this musical relationship start to flourish, and when did you start getting serious about forming a band and stuff like that?
Well, our first gig was in 1994, so that'll be 20 years in April.
Yeah.
When you say it like that, Jesus
in
Christ.
April, that would have been when the aforementioned Mr. Cobain
this was
did.
well, that was such a year for music as well. Cobain's gone, we have to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Here, the world needs. The world needs.
I learned Bon Jovi on piano. I'm here. Everybody, I'm here.
By this stage, the keyboard had gone by the wayside and guitar had been taken up when I discovered Metallica and Nirvana and stuff like that, and Rage Against the Machine. I think actually we opened with Bomb Track, and we had. We had a Metallica song in there, For Whom the Bell Tolls, I think, as well.
Nice, easy one.
We were all complete beginners. I'd been playing for about a year at this stage, so I knew a bit of what I was doing.
Yeah. You're an experienced pro at this stage with a year behind you.
We have one of the songs we wrote ourselves actually was a 3-minute song called Brain Disease, which I think featured a 2-minute tapping guitar solo. So that's the sort of band we were, if you can imagine. Metal Zone pedals up to the max.
Oh yeah. Boss Metal Zone. I remember those pedals because I remember one of the first bands I was ever in. They used to have the EQ settings. It's if you push it to 3 o'clock, you have Britpop. If you push it to about 6 o'clock, about 1:15, you have 80s hair metal. It's telling you what your tone.
Why does it sound like your nan's telling you what it is?
Because it was. It's like
my nan wouldn't know what a Metal Zone is.
Well, basically, Metal Zone is what you do. The thing about the Metal Zone, and it's if you have a little 4-watt amp in your room and you have a cheap guitar and you have this pedal and you put it on, it's proper rock and roll. You get your settings right, which basically means fuck everything up to maximum 10, and you play it and you go, wow, this sounds exactly like the guitar tone of Metallica's Black Album. When I play it in the bathroom. So then you think, right, I'm going to get up on stage and I'm going to play this, and it really sounds exactly like an angry wasp in a biscuit tin. It's fucking horrible. And you're like, turn it up. It's like, I can turn it up, it'll just sound like louder. I'm still not going to hear what you're playing.
I got offered one the other week.
That's something that took me a few years to learn.
Jeez, you're kind of thinking to yourself, why did it like take Metallica like $1 million and a year to get this guitar tone?
Well, they should have just used the metal zone.
Metal zone. It just saves everything. It's grand, like, you know.
If you go back and watch the Black Album documentary, you'll see they have 4 metal zones each.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Well, in fairness though, I have seen 2 bands get a really good sound from a metal zone pedal, but that's because they were using a really good guitar and a really good amp.
Yeah.
And one of them was Biffy Clyro.
Right.
Killer guitar tone in that was a Glitter and Trauma song. When that breaks in, that's actually one metal zone, but he's going through like 3 or 4 different valve amps. Like,
but it's in there somewhere.
But that was his main distortion. It was great. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. But another band, they were called Clergy. They were an Irish band.
Clergy.
I don't think they're still going, but we played with them like back in the 2000s. They were fucking amazing. But again, the guitar player, you know, he just knew exactly. So like, you put this. You know, if you move it a hair to the left or right, your career is like
over.
Shit.
Yeah.
But just there is the sweet spot, and it just sounded fantastic. So I mean, there is that to be said for if you know how to really use a pedal, you can get something good out of it. But
do you think, like, you know, the music scene back then, like, so I can remember, like, you know, the mid-90s, late 90s, you know, nowadays we've Pro Tools, and like nearly any kid has Pro Tools accessible to them. Like, it was a lot harder back in the day. I mean,
well, back in the day, if you wanted a demo, you had to go to a studio.
Yeah,
you know, your 4-track would get you enough to get a song down. Like, now I know what a guitar and bass will sound like together, and you work out how to put a vocal over it.
I remember listening to the John Kenny Metal Show on a Sunday, and he used to say, if you want to send demos in, send them in on tape or DAT. That was it. Like,
it had to be Chrome tape though. Chrome tape was sure. I mean, we used to, like, that was the mid 90s even then when DAT came in. Like, I still have some DAT sitting up in my parents' attic. Does anyone have a DAT player actually? Because I haven't heard these demos since the 90s. I would probably shudder if I heard them now, but back then we knew this was gold, and we were just waiting. Waiting for Mr. Sony to come knocking on the door and offer us the big fat contract.
I was passing through the town of Carrickmacross, and I heard some wonderful DATs on the show.
Yeah, it's like, you know, in Wayne's World, like, hey, Frankie Sharp Records, I was just passing through the town in my limo.
Ricky Starmaker, Rabbit Loja.
yeah. So that was back in the day. That was the formative years.
So our first band was called Harmonious Deformation.
Jesus.
Great name. Gavin came up with that.
I bet you got all the girls.
I think
with that name.
we actually came up with it during a mandatory religious retreat at school, and we were talking about the Reformation. He's like, Reformation. Deformation. Yes.
See, you know,
it was a brilliant name, but most people couldn't pronounce it. Or you go, what's the name of your band? Harmonious Deformation. How? Darmation is Heffernonen. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
So eventually we call it HD, which now HD is high definition, but back then it didn't actually mean anything. So
now you must giggle when you see the HD
technically, you coined the
up.
phrase HD.
We
then,
did.
Technically,
indeed, we were the ultimate in high definition.
You're aware of a technological revolution in more ways than one.
That's it. We should have copyrighted it, but we never.
So
I should have posted a DAT tape of it to myself, registered.
so in the missing years between the late 90s and was it 2002 when Mike Got Spike formed? What happened in between those years? Did you just get busy working, or were you still musicking away?
Quite a bit of music actually happened in those years. Harmonious Deformation evolved into a project called Cousin It, and by the end of that, it was still like most of us were in the same class in school together. We'd play every weekend.
Was Johnny on the scene by this stage?
No, I didn't meet Johnny till years later actually. Okay. Even though he's from the neighbouring town of Castleblaney, but we played in this band Cousin It, and even when we went to college in Dublin, we'd come home every weekend and practice, and we'd play gigs around Dublin and Dundalk and wherever. I think we actually won a Battle of the Bands in UCD, even though only one of us was in UCD.
I'm guessing that would have been Gav.
Yeah, he Mr. Education. He
had to weigh with words. I've met Gav quite a number of times.
He did work as a journalist as well. He did.
Yes,
but,
always,
very well spoken lad. Now,
how are you, Gav?
Unlike the rest of us uncouth morons, but
man, I want to be a rock star.
But we had Cousin It. Then I did the rock school out in Senior College Ballyfermot. It's changed its name now. It's something else, but it's in Ballyfermot.
Yeah, it's amalgamated into something. Yeah.
It's still a college in Ballyfermot.
And apparently it's got top-notch facilities.
Well, back then really it was brilliant for animation. Like pretty much everyone who studied animation there was getting snapped up by Disney and Pixar. I did the other course, which I did music, which meant that I could pass with flying colours and still be completely unemployable.
Yeah. What have we got? I've got a certificate to rock.
That makes me more unemployable than if I hadn't gone there. But yeah, that's when I went there. That's where I met Johnny. He was in my class, and I actually met Dave Log, older brother to Val Normal drummer, Peter. But I met him the year beforehand. He did the course the year before me.
Okay.
And I met him through. This is getting convoluted, isn't it?
No, it's not. No, it's interesting.
He'd done the course with a good friend of mine who'd done it the year before.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. So that's how I met Dave. And
we live in Buddha Village anyway.
And then I met Johnny in rock school, and we formed a couple of bands. Jeez, there was a bunch of them actually. There was one called Skank. That was my band. It was pretty bad.
Sounds sludgy.
It
sounds
was
slutty actually.
It was
Skank. Like, you know?
Well, it happened. It was like, okay, what's the name of your band for the end of your show? Johnny, will you be in my band? Yeah. Cool, because I've already submitted a name. What's it called? Skank. He's like, what? I had a mental shit. I just wrote down the first thing.
Yeah. And were you up and down like back home to Monaghan like at the weekends, or like did you not even recognise Johnny from the bus? Because I take you would have got the same bus Aaron back up or whatever.
Well, no, we'll see. I'd get Collins' bus. He'd get McConnell's bus.
There's a division there.
It was funny though, but we've discovered this thing. You know, we'd grown up. How far is Castlebay and Carrick? Less than 20 miles or whatever that is in kilometres. Yeah. But we'd grown up listening to the same music, watching the same TV program. There used to be this thing called Noisy Mothers.
I remember that on
formerly
UTV.
Raw Power on UTV at like 2 o'clock in
the music was
Saturday
Walk
morning.
by Pantera.
Yeah, or Anyway, before that it was Loving an Elevator, I think. That's really showing my age here. Yeah, but
it's all good, man. I'm a few years behind you.
That's how old it was. This was back when the TV would shut down at night, so they wouldn't even
test card.
Yeah, they wouldn't even advertisers wouldn't even bother paying for it. So you just have like back soon would appear for 5 minutes, and then you get back to your show.
Yeah. Now like you just click onto YouTube. Like back in the day, like you know you got your fill of Noisy Mothers, and then it was the little girl with the chalkboard and the clown beside her.
This was around the same time.
I always thought that clown came to life when you went to sleep. My dad terrified. Did he?
You ever wake up and he's not in this picture? That's where.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Someone's sleeping with the lights on.
I'm leaving. Can't sleep. Clown will eat me.
Yeah. That's it. I'm fecked. But that was the format of
that was it. So so myself and Johnny, we were into the same kind of metal, Pantera, Sepultura, all that kind of heavier shit as well. He's big into that. And so I got a few bands with him. We played with a rap band called Tony X. Well, the rapper was called Tony X. So was the band.
How's Tony X getting along these days?
I have no idea how he's doing now. I hope he's still doing some music because it was incredible fun actually playing that. I was like a proper 7-piece band, which meant that nothing ever happened because we never managed to get all 7 people in one place at one time. We played like 3 gigs, I think, and that'd be you get a call on a Tuesday going, "Oh, how's it going, Conall? What's the crack? Oh yeah, Tony. I haven't spoken to you in about 2 months. I got a gig on Friday." It's like, okay, can we have a rehearsal beforehand?
Yeah.
I'll see if we can get everyone together. Oh, that means no. All right, I'll see you at the gig.
And then Jimmy, the bass player, got a job in a chipper, so that's that.
We got married.
Going to the chapel.
Should have known we'd never get far.
That was what Bryan Adams kind of weird.
Well, that's how that worked. But then later on, myself and Johnny and Dave got together and formed a band called Fingermouse, which was...
I was about to ask you about those guys. I remember Dave mentioned Fingermouse.
See, this gets really bloody complicated now. That was myself, Johnny, and Gavin actually on drums. But then Gavin left, so we got Dave in. Yeah. And then we got me, Johnny, and Dave, and we did Fingermouse for a while, which is basically just a load of silly songs I'd written. And some of them were kind of fun.
Rant them about mice, no?
No, actually, funny enough, but this was, again, continuing the whole Cousin It thing of, I can't think of a band name, so I'll just think of a fictional character that's kind of obscure, but somebody will remember anyway.
Yeah, it was up there with Cousin It and Skank.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Skank, I don't think was an actual TV character. He was just a brain fart.
It depends what kind of TV you watched. Like, hey.
We're getting waved at.
There's the man himself.
If anyone doesn't know, the legend himself, Mick Garry, is gazing in through the window at us.
Lovingly.
Nice to meet you.
Not like in a, condensation against the window pane kind of stalker way, but a nice kind of, hello, how are you?
He's wearing a Rival Studios
fairness, we
hoodie.
can't see below the waist.
And he has his hands in his pockets.
Okay.
It's a studio I was banned from, so...
Band?
I don't say the name of it.
All right, yeah.
So then we had Fingermouse.
Yeah, so this went on for a while, and that was kind of cool. And then, what was it? Red Clown was the next thing, which was...
You love clowns. Cousin...
It
Clown.
Cousin It's the hairy guy.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Then there was It the Clown.
I didn't come up with that name. That was Log's other band that he's got Johnny to join, and then... I said, well, if Johnny and Log are in it, then I have to be in it because I shared.
It's like writing a family tree.
It was, It was like it felt left out. So I joined that band, and we put on all the Kiss makeup and
brilliant.
We had James
Gill
Martin.
Check these guys out.
Boots and everything.
Yeah,
we had James Gill Martin on vocals with us now. He's another amazing singer songwriter as well. But back then it was just that's when we were trying to do something Patton-esque, you know.
Kind of pre-Mr.
Yeah.
Bungle. Well, Mr. Bungle would have been out around
Yeah,
then.
it was kind of somewhere between Mr. Bungle and Dead Jesus Rodeo. That kind of
Well,
vibe. You know?
That's kind of what we were going for as well.
Yeah, which is basically, let's do something new and original. Well, there is nothing new and original. Okay, well then let's take a load of unassociated shit and mash it together. That's new.
You just summed our album
So
up.
that's
and then your dad waves Frank Zappa albums in your face.
Death metal polka meets jazz fucking, funk fusion. Why not?
Well, believe it or not, I think that's where the first grains of what came to be like, as Mike got spiked. I remember reading a few reviews of you guys, and reviewers got really frustrated because they couldn't pigeonhole you. It's like schizophrenic rock usually.
Yeah,
used
I
to
liked that
suffice.
one. That was cool. I actually somebody wrote schizo melody tinged rock, and I was like, that is fucking brilliant. We're going to use that. Like, we were going to use the second most dangerous band in the world after Guns N' Roses, but then we decided we'd change it to schizo melody tinged rock. Yeah. But,
so when was the very first embers of Mike got spiked? When did you guys get together in a room and?
Right, that's again complicated.
Conall actually suggested earlier why weren't just called Pat Got Slapped.
That could have worked. That could have worked. Yeah.
Could have been an option.
Could that be the name of our second album then? Would you mind if we
Roy had a toy?
Only if I get to appear on said album.
No worries. Pat Got Slapped. That's great. So yeah, when did it all start?
Red Clown did its thing for a while and then disbanded, and I kind of started saying, well, let's just do Fingermouse again. James went off to do his solo career, and the three of us were like, okay, let's get rid of the Kiss makeup and go back and
the spandex. Did spandex come into it?
Spandex didn't come into it. Couldn't afford spandex. Seriously.
It was Carrick McCross. There was spandex was
well,
at premium.
I was firmly rooted living in Dublin at this stage now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Welcome to the suck.
Yeah.
Welcome to the skank.
So we've been doing this for a while, and I was like, I really want to do something that was closer to Red Clown, that I really got to rock out and be heavy and shit, because I couldn't do that and lead vocals at the same time. I don't have the voice to do all the metal screamy kind of shit. So
the dexterity to play complicated riffs and screaming at the same time.
So I was like, well, Gavin's living in Dublin as well, and I'd been playing in bands with him since we were 12. So I was like, give him a call, see if he wants to do it, and he was like, yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say, maybe, I would have thought, maybe you're thinking, maybe he's in two minds, because he's going down the serious adult route now of going to UCD, and he's doing his,
he was,
or what it was. So, it was a risk, maybe, to...
It was a risk. Well, I mean, at the same time, we all had day jobs at the time, but we're still, let's just jam in the evenings and get the odd gig here and there, I'll pester Dermot Dorn every couple of months and see if he'll let me play down there, that lovely, lovely, lovely shithole that we've played so many times.
I know.
Gone now.
Yeah, it's gone now.
I actually went down to it for some reason. I don't know why. It's actually still the exact same down there.
Really?
They haven't gotten rid of the smell of piss that's still there.
There's piss smells from 1996.
Yeah, it's
still,
But anyway, so we got Gavin in, and we had a gig the next week. We had no songs, so we were playing we'll do 2 or 3 Fingermouse songs, a couple of Cousin It songs, a couple of Red Clown songs, and we'll just bluff it, So we actually started playing gigs before we'd even written any bloody songs.
And they just have a different approach this time around. They just kind of say, okay, we're kind of messing about with Fingermouse, and maybe there's a newfound kind of, let's do something here. Was it any different? It was still another joke to you?
Well, it was at this point. It was we just threw everything at the wall. It was I'll sing lead on a couple of songs, Gavin will sing lead on a couple of songs, Gavin will play drums, and Dave will sing lead on a couple of songs, and we tried that out for a while, and it was it's cool, but it's 3 completely different bands, and it's a bit messy and all this changing around. It's all right, let's just say Dave's the best drummer, I'm the best guitar player, Johnny's the best bass player, Gavin's the best frontman singer, and it was let's just stick to that.
I agree with that. I think thousands of people since then have agreed with that. That's the best lineup.
I've had the pleasure of playing with nearly all of you, so I can definitely attest to that as well.
So it made sense, and it was the thing that kept it real as well was that we were all writing songs. It wasn't just Fingermouse I was writing all the songs, and I wasn't exactly telling the other guys what to play, but at the same time it was it's my song, go with this, try this, speed up here, down there. Obviously leaving it open, for all the arrangements you can do, when somebody writes a song and brings it to you, it's okay, I'm not gonna change, but I'm gonna throw some shit at the wall and see how it works. I mean, it was still that, but this was actively, all 4 of us had equal input in the writing, everyone had a say and shit, which means that
that's very good in the band. You have to be.
It's a double-edged sword, because it's democracy. shit can take for fucking ever. It can be death by committee, and you know, whereas in a dictatorship, you know, shit gets done. It's like, play that, bam, song written, next song, you know. No, like, well, what if we do this? Or I'm not sure about, you know. Yeah. In which case it was always, well, you know, we'll just have a little tape recorder in the corner, try it both ways, listen back to them, and then decide kind of thing, you know. So it had to be very democratic. But it meant then that, you know, we had a very eclectic sound, because I mean we all had shared but completely different influences as well. Like, I mean, we were all into the rock and stuff like that, and you know, myself and Gavin, you know, Fate No More, Mike Patton, he loves that stuff as well, as you can probably tell by some of his vocal stylings.
Fantastic.
So, you know, so there'd be a lot of bands we all shared in common, but then there'd be weird stuff as well. Like Gavin had like some stuff that I wouldn't particularly be into. I'd like some crazy stuff nobody else would be into. Dave is big into his Sting and his, you know, Alanis
weird
Morissette,
time signatures and all that.
Peter's the same with his soft music. He tries to give me
I mean, they grew up on Simon and Garfunkel and all that sort of stuff. You know, you know.
Well, Peter and Dave's dad used to be like, you know, my teacher in 6th class, and also the choir master. He used to get us to sing ABBA songs, and so it was just a mad mix of music in that house. You know,
half my iTunes is like mine and his, and I do get a lot of looks. People are like, why have you got this? I'm like, my friend Peter.
I've Gwar and Gilbert O'Sullivan beside each other. It's all good. Like,
well, that's weird as well, because you see, my dad listens to news radio, talk radio. My mother listens to classical, but there wasn't always music playing in the house. So, I mean, I had to discover rock for myself.
I was the same. I didn't. Well, I had a cousin, but
which is funny now, because I mean, there's
everyone's always got a cousin.
Yeah.
Well, you see, I had a neighbour that gave me a copied tape of "Slippery When Wet" by Bon Jovi, like when I was 10, and that's pretty much where it started. But you know, it got to the stage, even when I was a teenager and young 20-something, it was all metal. If it's not metal, I
you're not my friend, in the words of Man of War.
It's like, if it's not, then it's fucking pussy music. Go cry in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Posers and wimps leave the hall.
So it meant that, you know, it's only now that I'm in my 30s that I'm starting to listen to stuff like David Bowie and the Beatles. Yeah. You know? It's like shit that you think that I was a music lover. You should have been into this from day one.
Oh, check out the chord he played here. So, yeah, you know, you're talking about an eclectic mix of music. And when did you guys, you know, you took your mix and you finally discovered a little music organization called Gig Smart by chance, was it? Were you friends with Trev or Small?
Well, actually, like that? Thomas Brunkard, who was one of the three, it was Thomas, there was Niall Steins and Trev Mooney, were three guys who, fair play to them, had enough of the gig scene in Dublin at the time, which basically was, there was 2 or 3 promoters, and you can't see those on radio, but I'm going with my quotation marks and fingers.
Yeah.
Promoters.
He has the bunny ears out, everybody. Yeah.
These guys, you know, their idea of promoting was get about 10 bands to ring me up looking for a gig. I'll say, yeah, you can play in the Isaac Border in Whelan's or whatever little place it was on a Wednesday night for half an hour, and you give me €100.
I'll give you tickets to sell.
And I'll give you tickets to sell to your friends.
Yeah, we fell to that as well.
But that was the only way for bands to get gigs, really, at the time, and it meant it was ridiculous, because, you know,
terrible way of going about things, really.
Yeah, they're not promoting; they're taking your money, and paying some of that to the venue and keeping the rest.
Yeah.
So you're the one promoting. You're out there trying to guilt your family and friends into buying these tickets. Yeah. And of course, I mean, what exposure does that give you? You get to play in front of the few friends you've managed to guilt into coming. You're not going to get a new audience. It's like, well, maybe the other bands will bring some of their friends and they'll like
the Sex Pistols are right. Their friends, and then they leave when their friends stop playing.
The great rock and roll swindle, the Sex Pistols. They were dead right. They got the nail on the head.
He's trying to ring me. Oh, sorry. I could put my phone on silent just so you know I'm slightly professional, but I'm still reading my text messages while here.
No expense spared here, people.
Feel free to tweet or Facebook during this if you like.
Yeah,
we won't mind.
So, Conall, you know, you had the song 5 Second Heaven, part of the Gig Smart compilation.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was getting on to.
How did that song come about? And, you know,
the Tom, Trev and Niall decided that, like, rather than do this, we'll try a collective of bands where, you know, you're not paying to play, but, you know, if you get 3 bands to play and just come along and get to know the other bands, because, you know, bands were at each other's throats in competition. Like,
it was all May Feiners. It was all
like, I mean, I've even seen ones where one band sabotaged the PA after they played, so the next band would sound worse, or, you know,
vicious in this.
You know, it was ridiculous, and this was a whole new idea. Well, you know, this band we played with, like, there was other bands on the scene, like Pinion, Murder Crow, some amazing bands. But the idea was that, you know, even if you're not playing, Gig Smart run a gig every Wednesday in the music centre, as they did, and it was like, whoever's playing, I was in town, I'll go support them. Yeah. If I go see their band, maybe they'll come see my band.
That's right.
And, you know, it started getting, this band are cool, we get on well, let's play a gig together and pool our resources. And it took off slowly, but it was like suddenly there was 10, 20 bands all rooting for each other.
And also as well as that, you know, they had the
helping
Gig
each other.
Smart forum and like, you know, we're helping out each other.
And people like, anyone can help out. Like, we're running a gig this Wednesday. Is anyone in town to just pick up some photocopies and hang up some posters? Like, this is before, you know, advertising a gig was inviting everyone Facebook. Bam, done. This was back when you actually had to go out.
People ignore Facebook events. So I'll probably have about 70 of mine.
As well, but you know, you had to put them up.
Yeah. That was actually part of the
walking around with a roll of sticky tape and a fucking load of posters and hanging them up, and
some lad going, "Oh, who are you playing?
You're in a band. I used to be in a band myself." And I still meet him every time I get a taxi home.
Oh yeah, I know.
one time we had to put Dara on Peter's shoulders to hang a poster up because people kept taking all the posters down, and I was like, "Right, lad, you're about 6'5", and then Dara. So an old lad walks by, is like, little Dara's on Peter's shoulders, trying his best, and I'm the one with the tape trying to hand them up to him really quick before he falls over. So I know all about the posters.
But like, even like with Gig Smart, there's such a sense of community. It really did work.
Well, that's the thing, because once that started, once the community was there, and there was regular gigs that were regularly full because people were supporting each other. Then they took it to the next step and said, let's try and get some compilation album into the charts with all these bands.
It's the next natural step, I suppose.
Well, you know, because at the time, and it's still to a certain extent, and maybe it's getting better, but back then, if you were playing guitar music in Ireland, the media did not want to know. Just did not. You know, you're not going to get signed. You're not going to get play on the radio. You're not
the Verve.
You know.
But not even singer-songwriter, like, because that always has been.
In the early days, that was
like,
pretty big.
There was that, but then again
David
as well,
Kitt and Damien Rose,
you know. But if you're playing
like
punk and metal, there's no chance. Like, you know? So they did this. They got the thing together, and every band pitched in. They did a tour, and they basically formed their own record label out of this. And the album did well, so they did another one.
It charted in the Irish charts, didn't it?
And
got the top 10 in the Irish charts or something.
Really?
Like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, went seriously well. So did you guys take that? We
kind of took this as took confidence. Like, well, actually, this is something we can do. People are interested in hearing our music, and let's do it. So we kind of took up the whole weekend warrior thing at that stage, where it's like, okay, we're working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Friday evening, play a gig in Dublin. Saturday, play a gig in Carlow or Kilkenny.
Yeah.
Sunday, play a gig in Cork. Come back, go to work on Monday. And mini tours. I mean, that's really well. If you're in Ireland, you can do that, because I mean, you're not going to play every night of the week in Ireland because it's too bloody small.
Yeah,
and you're not going to travel. It's not going to take 5 hours.
Yeah,
to get from one place to another.
Well, the thing is, if you live in Dublin, for example, anywhere in Ireland you can drive there and drive back that night.
Yeah,
you might be coming home at 5 o'clock in the morning, but you can still do it rather than paying for hotel rooms or whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
So I mean, we did that for a while, and then.
I believe you had there was a Gig Smart tour where, if I want to read my notes correctly here, it says you're in 19 shows in 10 days.
Yeah, that was
on the back of Whiskey from Itay and All You Need.
All You Need, yeah. We did a single. Was that was the next Gig Smart project was like 12 bands, 12 months, 12 singles.
Jeez.
So I think we were June that year.
Yeah, okay.
So we released All You Need, Whiskey from Itay as a single, and gigged the living crap out of it.
I take it that was like 19 shows in 10 days. There was matinees in certain places.
Yeah, well, there was
the underage gigs.
There was one Saturday we did. We played at like lunchtime in Temple Bar, about mid-afternoon in Carlow, and then evening time in Kilkenny, and then drove back to Dublin. And by the end of that week we were so rough. This is our first proper tour. Like, we took the week off work and went out and played gigs. And the first night was like, it was a great gig, let's get locked.
Yeah.
And the next day was like, it was a great gig, let's get locked. And then the next day was like, I'm so fucking hungover and we can play how many more gigs? 15 more gigs. Okay.
Fair enough.
Well, I learned a few things on that. Like, one of them was, have a spare T-shirt for every gig, because you're going to sweat.
Who are you telling?
So if we're going out for a week, bring 15 T-shirts. Now, what I didn't think...
Good gig, man, squelch.
What I didn't think was... I was prepared for that. I had 15 T-shirts packed, but I didn't think to bring an extra pair of jeans.
So you must have been peeling them off yourself.
By the end of the week, I was so exhausted that the only reason I was able to stand at all was because the jeans didn't bend.
You must have the worst case of scrot rot ever after that.
Yeah,
well, by then it was like, I needed it was like 2 vodka Red Bulls just to get up on bloody stage. It was like, and go back to sleep afterwards. So that's when I realized that if you're going to do a hardcore tour, you can't be getting absolutely bollocks every night, or you just get sick. You'll get
Don't buy into the rock and roll dream too much.
Yeah, there's a clip of Iron Maiden. in the 80s or something, and someone is interviewing them, and they're all backstage on, you know, exercise bikes, and they're all like, this is what it's all about, like, you know, where's the vodka and the drugs and all that, and they're like, if you turn the way we do, you will not be able to last 2 weeks out on the road. You know, like people
never
think,
mind going out for 6 months.
Yeah,
you know?
Like you have to pace yourself. So you know, you did
at the same time. Now, I never did get to the stage where we brought an exercise bike on tour with us.
No,
When
from the YouTube videos I've seen of Mike got spiked down through the years, I don't think an exercise bike was anywhere around the.
When we had a friend cover for Peter while he was away, our friend Carl, he kind of toured a bit, but not as much as we would have, and he played a really good show with us, and he didn't understand why me and Dara just wanted to head home afterwards. He's like, "We've just played an amazing show," and I was like,
I had a
"Yeah,
friend
but we
like
got
that
another one tomorrow." Like, it's just you don't go on the piss after every show, man.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who was like, "Oh yeah, like Crafty Fuzzies are gigging every weekend, like, you know, fucking 2 or 3 gigs a week. Yeah, let's go out and have a session, man.
People think
this
it's
is
a
my third
non-stop
gig on the weekend. I want to go home and have a cup of tea."
People think it's a non-stop party, and you're like, "Nah, man, I just want to get home and start Doctor Who season 4." To be honest with you, just
if
chill
you get
out.
wrecked, they're the bands that burn up too easy.
Exactly.
You have to sustain yourself. So after that Geek Smart tour, their conflict of interest records came into the equation, and then you start thinking about the making of the record.
They approached us now. This was Niall Steins and Peter Slangster and Trev Mooney and Tom Brunkard were involved in that as well. Basically, Peter had set up this amazing studio, Creamy Sonic.
Still there.
Actually,
we were both in it.
My current band actually still rehearsed there.
Crafty Fuzz and Val Normal have frequented there.
Quite often.
Mike Spite used to share a room there with those damn junkie DJs. And
I remember them.
Back in the day, and they're good times. But he'd set up a studio down there and rehearsal space for a bunch of bands, and said, you know, started recording albums. Like, you know, let's make our own record company, because, you know, the existing record companies in Ireland, if the subsidiaries or whatever, blah blah blah, not interested.
They didn't serve a certain genre of music.
So it's
anyway.
like the only way this music is going to get recorded is if we form our own record company.
Makes sense.
So we said, hell yes, we will record an album, and we did the whole thing, and we did our deal. And
did you have enough songs up to make an album at this stage, or just have to go, oh shit, he's offering to make us an album, we only have 5 songs?
We pretty much threw every song we had on the album.
Okay.
The Stooges technique. We've only 8 songs, we'll just lock ourselves away. And
they're probably taking Sum 41 all killer and no filler.
You know? We pretty much threw everything we had on that album at the time, and some of it was, you know, well, we had a couple others, but didn't make it. But pretty much everything we had, it was like, well, this is our set as it stands. Let's just lash it all down.
Did you honestly think, when, you know, you're in the studio and you're laying down Whiskey for Me Tay, did you think, oh jeez, this is just a piss take, why is this going on the album? Or did you actually have aspirations to take off as a song
I didn't want
it
on the album at all, actually. Well, that's a song that's left over from Fingermouse days, you know.
Okay. The experimental days, yeah.
It was the joke that backfired. It was like, oh, it wouldn't be funny if we did a song.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, why is that the only song anyone wants to hear?
I know, yeah.
I think the story I heard was like, I think one of you was working in a diddly eye
shop. I was working in Celtic Note on Nassau Street.
Oh yeah, I know it. They're from Sound Cellar.
Yeah. That's a grand spot, you know. I think I lasted a couple of weeks before I got fired for just general shitty timekeeping. But yeah, it was one of those places where you get in and you know, if you're coming into work on a Monday morning slightly hungover, and the first thing you have to hear is just uilleann pipe melodies. Now, uilleann pipe can be lovely, but
Harry's Game for about 7 hours.
With a hangover, you know, it can sound like somebody is doing something sexually specific to a cat. Like, it's really, really not nice.
It works its way in the air.
So it got to the stage,
pushing the uilleann pipes into orifices.
But yeah, I kind of got to a stage where I was getting it up to there with traditional Irish music and that. And
torture.
Well, not even like there's amazing traditional Irish music.
Oh,
but this is the stuff that is specifically geared towards American tourists.
Yeah, Aaron sweaters and, you know, calendars of cottages.
It's like, you know, there's amazing country music, and then there's, you know, Daniel O'Donnell, you know.
Of which the country music scene in Ireland is massive, but we're not going to get into that now because we're talking about.
But I can't remember what we're talking about. I'm on the middle of a tangent here, I think.
This happens a lot on this podcast. Just do it. We don't care.
Just talking about, you know, like how, you know, Whiskey for Me Tay and the initial feeling you had, like when it went down on the album.
There was arguments about that. I really didn't want it to go on the album. It was like, yeah, it's a fun song and it's one that everyone loves, but it's not Mike got spiked, you know.
It's not serious enough, basically. You said
the compromise at the end was, we'll put it on as a bonus track. You mean as in it's the last song and you just write bonus in the end?
We're not rich enough to have a bonus album.
That was the compromise.
It would have worked as like the last track ends and then you got to fast forward.
Yeah.
No, well, we didn't bother with that because that whole secret song thing got kind of annoying. Like, it was great when, like, oh my god, like, never mind, if you listen to the end of that, like, it goes on for half an hour and then there's wow. And then it's like, suddenly it's like, wow, I just heard an amazing album that didn't have a secret song in it because everyone's fucking doing it.
Yeah. Do you know what? The name of the track actually escapes me now, for shame, but there's a really soulful breakdown jazzy guitar solo where it's like the first proper guitar solo, and it's on the Cavi Emptor album. It's real. It's really, really breaking down. But Babs, who I'm in the band with Crafty Fuzz, that's her hands down favorite solo of all time. Like, we'd be driving around the country like gigging, and she's like, oh, there's Cavi Emptor, stick it on. This solo, man, this is the business. For shame, I can't remember like what the name of the track was, but it was like a Fate No More.
You didn't do your homework correct.
Yeah. It kind of reminded me of Evidence by Fate No More.
Then that's probably Speechless then, because I ripped the hell out
that's
of it.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Evidence from Fate No More was my actual, well spotted, that was my main influence on that solo.
It's a fantastic
even
song.
the tone, that kind of it's that kind of
the
octave
thing,
kind of thing. Yeah. I'm a drummer and I'm talking about octaves. I am the man. I am the man. I have risen.
I'm going to talk about some paradiddles and watch it. What about paradiddle?
Frogging out and all that. I call them diddly diddlies because that's the sound the bass makes. It goes diddly 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 diddly. Yeah, that's the one.
Or in Conall's Celtic Note days, diddly eye.
Yeah, diddly eye.
Aye. So what was the process for making Cavi Emptor? Was it a stressful situation? Was it kind of like, we have to get this down and revolutionise rock, or let's do something for ourselves?
We had quite a lot of time to do it, in one sense, where we spent a couple of months doing it, but we were all working full time at the same time. So I mean, we were only recording for a few hours at night every night. Yeah, and
whatever time you're like all your shifts allowed you to.
I mean, I was actually working in the Stock Exchange of all places, which is in Temple Bar, so it's right beside where the studio is. Yeah, sure, please. Being offered a beer here.
Nice offered a beer, yeah. That's how nice we are.
Let's try to be professional, and not say it on here.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we can edit that bit out later. Too bloody lazy to edit.
We're having an Evian, sorry, yeah.
We were meant to edit last week.
I didn't say, did I say it was a can of beer flavoured Evian?
Hey!
What was I talking about?
The process of the Cavi Emptor album,
so,
the
process. Yes. Well, I basically got onto the Gig Smart forum, which was a great resource at the time, and went, hey, guitar players everywhere, I'm your friend, aren't I? Can I have the lend of everything? So yeah,
there's me thinking you had a huge back catalogue of guitars.
No, it's Chris Steins, Trev Mooney, John Harbin all lent me guitars. Leon and John from Prime lent me amplifiers. Al from Pinion lent me an amplifier. Sean Doyle lent me an amplifier.
Mark II were on the go as well, weren't they?
Yes. That was Chris gave me
that's
PRS.
Right,
Chuck from Pinion gave me a PRS as well. Ridiculous. I mean, I was like a kid in a candy store. I actually still have a photo that James Golden took of just me in the studio surrounded by all these guitars, and it was like, I didn't use my own guitar in the album at all.
It's like in a Cool Runnings. I'm feeling very Ibanez today or something,
Actually, I mostly used a Les Paul and a Strat, actually, double for most of the heavy tones, and then use a PRS for some of the lead and clean.
And live, did you have
your gigantic pedal board at this stage?
Let's face it, that was a bit of a joke, wasn't it?
Your pedal board was the first one I seen. Was like, whoa. That's
I actually got that idea from Skyjack, who was to get a load of guitar pedals and put it into a guitar case, because that's what Sean and Brian used to do back in the day. And they were actually a big influence on me in their use of effects. And like another great defunct band from Ireland in the day, Skyjack.
I heard of them,
yeah. Yeah, they were a couple of years older than us, or at least a couple of years longer at doing it properly, seriously than we were.
Any bands you hear of here, do yourself a favour and go check them out after you hear this, because you could find some absolute gems.
Yeah, there are some
nuggets. There. Go on YouTube, do whatever you can, just Google them.
And sure, even if you find them, I mean, some of these bands that might be, long defunct, they might still have a couple of CDs lying in their attic. If you're really nice to them, they might post you one.
Yeah, it is true. These lads all have proper jobs now.
Having said that, I only have one copy of No's Not an Answer by Mike Got Spiked. I don't know where the rest of them are. If anyone
they're sold out.
I have 3.
I've one, and I gave one to download.
So the process of the album, the making of it went pretty smooth.
I worked myself sick from it, actually, because I was working for 7 in the morning until 6 in the evening in the Stock Exchange, then grabbing a 4-pack of Tiger and a bag of Doritos and heading over to the studio.
Yes.
Start to lay down guitar tracks. Stop at 12 o'clock for some fucking chicken balls and gravy, and then keep going till 2 or 3. Walk home. Go back into work for 6. Repeat. So I mean, I was sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night when I was putting down the guitars.
Well, if I can, like, even my own personal, the first time I ever came across these guys was in this very room. Mick said, "Oh yeah, like these lads went in, Mick Richards or something, and laid down a couple of songs," and I heard them like, "Geez, they're like an Irish Incubus." And I remember saying it to Gavin a few years later. He was like, "Oh right, interesting."
That was
analysis
interesting.
there,
Yeah.
And then
that was a good one, because the first one we got was. Which is funny that the review that actually made us
put you on the map.
It put us on the map because it was a really fucking bad review, and suddenly everyone's jumping to our defense. It's like, oh, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I've had those moments.
But basically, and the funny thing is, the guy who gave us this review is now a really good friend. But at the time, he was the internet troll on Gig Smart,
right?
Known as Helmut, now a very good DJ.
Yeah. Trolling before trolling was coined.
Yeah, that's it. He was one of the original trolls, but he put up a whole post going like, "I seen this mic got spiked and they're just a blatant mic, fucking Mr. Bungle ripoff. Like that song 5 Second Heaven is the exact same note for note as was it Squeeze Me Macaroni?" And I was like, really? Because I can't play Squeeze Me Macaroni. That's a fucking hell of a tune. But
you should have said, "Mr. Bungle, that's great. If you like them, come out and see us."
Yeah, well, that was the thing.
Them off so much.
That was the thing that everyone started jumping in. It's like suddenly everyone's talking about it. I'm like, seriously, nice one, dude. They got everyone talking about it.
No such thing as bad press, as they say.
No, well, tell that to Gary Glitter.
Oh, the infection of Mr. Gary G.
Everybody thought it was Gary Glitter. My first experience with you guys was the old Super Quinn and Swords used to be a skateboarding haven.
Was this before the pavilions was
This
built?
was before pavilions extended out, and it was a skateboarding haven. It was where all the youth hung out. I was about 15
well, it's just around the
time.
corner from the lodges gaff. So.
Yeah.
They're from Broadmeadows.
All the youth.
Don't give out specific addresses here.
Yeah,
maybe
Jesus Christ, man,
Yeah.
All the youth hung out
lives
there.
in over 79,000.
We all used to smoke up, have beers over, and skateboard. And then, I don't know, someone thought it was a good idea that you guys were having a single launch to put the posters up at our hangout spot. And I remember going, Mike, I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, oh, it's a band. I was like, that's very brave of them putting it up here at our hangout spot. Like, they might think we'll come and give them a load of shit or something. I was like, we'll go and we'll check it out. And we seen you play. I think it was in Pavilions that day. You had a single launch.
Oh Jesus, yeah, we played shopping centres
when they had HMV and Swords. Yeah,
that was on that.
There was a HMV, but I remember we all went and we all sat there and we were like, wow, I didn't think like it was going to be this good, and that was my first introduction.
Actually, I remember that was outdoor gig, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It stopped pissing rain for just the right 10 minutes.
It was about middle of summer, but obviously we don't get a summer. And then after that, I remember I heard the single, and I was like, that's really good. And then my brother's best friend, Big Stoner, came in with the first album, and he was like, "You heard these guys?"
Actually, that could have been the last day of that 19 gig in. That would have been the 18th gig. I think the 19th gig.
You certainly looked tired. You certainly looked like.
And then we went from there, packed all the crap back in the van, and drove around to the Slaughtered Lamb, and then unpacked and played there that night. And that was the last gig.
I seen you guys actually the night before you started recording Cavi Dempter, like the very first morning. I remember you played. Probably one of the weird. Well, I'm sure you've played weird gigs, but like in Ireland, there was a weird gig for you. You played across the road here in St. Catherine's National School.
Yeah, okay.
And it was like, I think it was like the 25th anniversary of the National School, and I remember there was like, you know, it was like a wine and cheese reception. It was like white wine and stuff, you know, for the mammies and daddies. And I rolled up in some band. Exactly.
Go.
Oh, it's the buffet. I see they got a rider prepared. You were all these old people drinking my wine.
Some band I was playing in at that time. We were doing like a whole lot of Love cover, and we were just like, yeah, that's grand. And then you lads got up at the end, and I remember
on a stage that was completely made out of like junior infants
tables.
So
they're in a pee hall.
Junior infants desks with wood over them.
Everyone was sitting down, and you lads started to play. And there's young lads now who I remember who are now adults. Yeah. Who are in bands now, and they were at that very gig that night, and it was like one of them just moments when something happened, like just so it was just mad heavy. All the guitars got thrown, all the chairs got thrown away. A mosh pit started, and I remember at the very end saying to Dave, "Oh, like what's the next move? Like, what are you up to? Oh, we're going to go in and start recording our album in the morning." And I remember I remember that to this day, just kind of thinking, I think I've seen these guys on the cusp of something, or like I don't know, like something special for them.
It's funny now that I think about it, because it's ridiculous.
Needless to say, sorry, we tucked into the white wine and got really.
Oh, absolutely,
drunk.
absolutely, yeah. But yeah, I'd almost forgotten about that gig. It's crazy now that I think of it. Like, I mean, I have lost count of how many shows I played. But it's funny, like, when you think about the amount of stuff we must have gotten away with. To be able to break out this heavy ass, screamy fucking metal funk, whatever. But like, you know, we played in shopping centers, we played in schools, we played in, you know, the Warped Tour, and then we played in, you know,
that's the next thing I was actually going to ask
played in Lurgan in Temple Bar. I played, you know, every little shithole you can think of, really. And then
you have to do your, you know, you have to.
Well, basically the way we looked at it at the time, like, well, when we got serious like that, we bought our own PA system and everything. It was like, really, all we need is a plug socket. And we can put on a show. Once we have electricity, we have everything else we need. We can show up. Like I say, we played outside the pavilions. We played outside, you know, the HMV in Limerick and Dundalk and everywhere. Wherever would have us, you know, and various other places.
You mentioned briefly there, you know, you touched on the Vans Warped Tour in Canada.
Yeah. That'd take me an hour to tell that story in itself.
Well,
we got the time.
Okay, well, actually, you know what you could really do right now that would be really helpful?
Yeah.
Chat amongst yourselves when I go for a piss.
You bet me to it. You bet me to it.
I broke the seal first there.
Okay, everyone, so Conall's going to go and use the aforementioned bathroom. And
I'm going to have a bath.
He's going to have a bath. We have very luxurious facilities here. So, everyone, hope you're enjoying our podcast thus far. This is... Ross from Crafty Fuzz and Watchy from Val Normal. And Conall on production.
Haven't I meant to say who I am?
No, you're not allowed.
I decided to let Ross steer the ship this week because last week we were kind of just shouting over each other. And I thought my voice came across as a bit too polite, whereas Ross is the right kind of polite yet the right kind of gritty.
Oh, right.
You know?
Or where I was referred to as a
homeless gnome, was it?
Or a something gnome. What did he call it?
Camp gnome.
Oh,
camp gnome. That was it.
Yeah, thanks. So, I don't know. I was kind of like, is this a compliment or?
It was meant as one. But if you're liking what you're hearing and you like the stories that Conall's telling, check the band out. They still got the Facebook page going. If you want a copy of their album, get onto him, get onto us, anything like that. We got both their albums.
Yeah,
two really good fucking albums.
They are fantastic.
I advise you pay for them, but you know, it's up to you and all that jazz.
Yeah, if you can choose to download and give it to all your friends, even better again. Oh, hey. So, Conall has made a return, and I'm going to make my exit, and I think Watchy's going to take over for the next couple of minutes.
Oh, I got to take over now.
Does that mean you have to hand him the piece of paper with all the questions?
Possibly. It depends how long I have to go to the bathroom.
You see, I prepared my own questions. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Well, actually, I was going.
The Vans Warped. Huh?
Oh yes, indeed.
So
this is an adventure and a half.
I have heard many a horror story of this Warped Tour. So
it started off basically we'd recorded Caveat Emptor, we got it out. It was like let's get it going, let's get it out there.
Out on the road.
And it was just by chance Niall, who was managing us at the time, saw this advert somewhere that was like, get your band on the Vans Warped Tour. So the competition, so we sent in the album, we sent in press, we sent in we're a big bloody deal, you know, we'll come the whole way from Ireland to play this, you know. And we got the slot. It was on the not the Hot Topic stage? Was it the Hot Topic stage? It was one of those smaller stages anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't. Sorry to burst your illusion. Actually, we played the main stage headlining.
Was Hot Topic as in like the goth store?
Yeah, that sort of thing. So they had let's say, was it them or was it Ernie Ball? It was something like that. Gavin will come in and he'll correct me. Gavin knows every detail of every gig we've ever played. You should have got him in.
Oh, he's threatened. He says he was the first one when we announced you. He was the first one to say, I can't wait to fucking hear this.
I'm sure he'll comment in and correct me on absolutely everything. But I never let the truth get in the way of a good story. No,
that's the first rule.
Most of what I'm about to tell you is absolutely true. We got this anyway, so we're like, okay, brilliant. So we're going to go to Canada. We're going to play this. It's going to be the dream come true. We had Montreal, Toronto, and Quebec. No, Quebec, Montreal, Toronto was the way the shows were going to go.
Yeah.
So grand. We got online, got everything. Let's book a big tour bus. Let's do this right, you know.
Oh,
let's get
properly
the proper
done.
bus with the bunk beds and this PlayStation and everything in it.
Expensive.
Put the money down. Put the money down on that, and then. Oh yeah, my sister was getting married like the day before the gig, so it's like, I gotta go to a wedding. I can't leave early, so it's like, fuck it, we'll all leave together. And so yeah, we got to the airport, and we're in Dublin Airport going through immigration, and shit went fucking pear-shaped.
As it does when you're in a band.
Right from immigration it started going, yeah.
That's unfortunately what the way it had happened was we had the 3 gigs on the Warped Tour, and then we were going to meet up with 20 Bulls each, or an Irish hardcore band, who happened to be in Detroit, and it's like, well, it's just over the border from Canada. We'll come down, we'll play the show. You're
across
there.
the lake.
This makes sense, yeah.
It makes sense. Cool. And then we'll come back to New York, and then we'll fly back home, and it would be a great week, you know. And so somebody in immigration looked on our website and saw that we had a gig booked in Detroit that we hadn't told them about. Oh. So the way they were looking at it, you're coming into the country to illegally work. And you didn't tell us that you were coming in. You didn't mention this gig. You just said Canada. So you lied to us. And we're like, well, we're not getting paid for this gig. And they're like, prove it. I'm like, how do I prove a negative?
Yeah.
So, but they were like,
well,
at this point, it was like we'd been told we're not getting on the plane, sit here, and they took us in one at a time, and they grilled us, and they tell us, you know, well, basically what you did was, by not telling us you were playing this gig, you lied to us, you tried to gain entry under false pretenses, blah, 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 you're not going anywhere.
Oh, Jesus, before you'd even left.
And, so we were pretty bummed about that. There was a whole bunch of us. We brought over a crew, like, there was 9 of us going over together.
Was it a lad's holiday?
This was going to be a big fucking deal, like, because we were going to play the 3 gigs and then spend another week there gigging around and whatever.
Yeah.
But, so we came back home and we were licking our wounds, you know, thinking, what the hell are we going to do? So we said, right, well, the only thing is that we're not going to get into USA and drive to Canada. We'll just go straight to Canada. So we all forked out and bought new tickets to go straight to Toronto.
Christ.
Jeez.
So so we went to Toronto the next day, and then we got to the immigration there, and they're like, so what are you doing in the country? It's like, we're playing the Vans Warped Tour. It's like, well, no, you can't come into work. It's like, no, we're not getting paid. And they're like, prove it.
Round 2.
You just didn't learn your lesson from like the
well, no, we did. It's like, hang on a minute, I have the contract here from the Vans Warped Tour that says somewhere in this paragraph that we are not getting paid for these gigs. It's like, okay, cool. So Conall McMahon, you can go in. Gavin McGuire, you can go in. David Lodge, you can go in. Johnny Miles, it says on your website, but it says Jonathan on your passport. How do we know you're the same person? At this stage, I'm like, I've been on a plane for 9 hours. I really need a cigarette before I fucking kill somebody. Don't make me get it back on the plane to Dublin. But eventually we got through and then realised that the bus that we had hired and paid for was not showing up.
Oh dear.
They had taken our money and stopped answering our calls.
Uh-oh.
So now we're like, okay, we were in Toronto. We needed to get to Montreal. We'd already missed the Quebec gig, so we could still make it to Montreal. So we went to hire a car.
Yeah.
I had a driver's license, but no credit card. Niall had a credit card with no driver's license. Gavin had a credit card and a driver's license, but he could only get one car.
Oh God!
So there's 9 of us with one car.
Any combination you could think of was conspiring against you.
Yeah. So like, we'll get a van and a trailer. Couldn't do that. Okay. We'll get a car. We get 2 cars. We got 2 cars eventually, but had no gear then and nothing to transport it in. Turned out our bags went to New York actually. Even though we were in...
I actually feel like banging my head against the microphone in sympathy nearly 10 years later.
This is better. This is still day 1.
Oh.
How long did this take to laugh at now? This is your first time laughing at it?
Well,
or?
no, it was about that time somebody's were doing like... bang your head off wall. It's like it's so bad.
Like Evil Dead 2 when Bruce Campbell
even to get the second car, it was like, okay, well, we need to put more money into the account. We have to wait till after midnight, but that's midnight Irish time. We're how many hours behind here, so we can transfer the money in. Will it be midnight in Ireland before the office closes here, so we can get a second car?
Good God Almighty!
I would have rang Joe Duffy.
We should have.
He would have loved that. He would have.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, we're in Toronto. How the fuck do we get to Montreal? It's like we didn't know.
Canada's a big ass place.
It's bigger than it's longer than going from from Dublin to Wicklow. It's a bit it's a bit longer.
That drive to Glendalough is a fierce tour, isn't it?
We're about 2.5 hours. We're about 2.5 hours on the road, and it's like. This is, before fucking iPhones with GPS and everything. It's like, we had no idea. Like, we
download an app,
right. Let's pull into
They were still using Nokia 5310s.
We'll pull into a petrol station and ask for directions. So we pull in, it's like,
good phone.
How do you get to Montreal from here? Like, Montreal, that's easy. Would you care to elaborate? Never been there myself, but I heard it's pretty easy to get to. It's like,
so you're an optimist, are you?
Did these guys have big ears now? Were they big-eared boys?
We got there. It's a long story short. Yeah. We end up at the show, and we then realised that we had between us we had an electric guitar, a couple of pedals. And that was it, actually.
No bass guitar,
no kit.
We finally found out that our gear had been impounded by customs, and we weren't going to get it back. So we wandered around trying to make friends with all the other bands, going, sorry, would you happen to have the lend of a guitar lead and maybe a plectrum?
And a drum kit.
And a drum kit and 2 amplifiers. And
sorry, is that a mess of boogie you have there?
Yeah.
It's like a neighbour knocking over asking for your telly. It's a
rockstar equivalent of asking for sugar from your new neighbour.
And then, you might as well take the piss where he was like, well, I mean, we only have one guitar, but maybe I could loop both your amps in series, you know?
Twist my rubber arm, why don't you?
But in fairness to them, they let us play, and we'd been up on our feet by like 36 hours at this stage, and we played like
pretty delirious on stage.
We played a kick-ass 20 minutes set.
Yeah. We came here to rock for all of 20 minutes. Yeah. So basically, you know, you did your Warped Tour.
Well, we did that one 20 minutes.
There's your Warped 20 minutes.
More actually went wrong the next day. We ended up missing. We missed the first gig from missing our flights, and we missed the third gig from getting stuck in traffic for 8 hours on the way to the venue.
Jesus Christ!
But it was at that point it was like, okay, well, all our obligations are over. We got a week.
Yeah.
Let's just go in the piss in Toronto for a week. So that was kind of cool. The lads got our holiday after that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, everything that's gone. Everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it was that because of that when we came back a couple of years later and said, right, we're going to do this big time. We're going to quit our jobs. We're going to get some money together. We're going to move to America.
Do you think even, like, you know, Canada gave you a taste of the North American lifestyle briefly? Even as disastrous as it was, it made you think, let's go back to the States and give it another go. Get through immigration.
Two things that gave us, two things that tour did for us was, one, it taught us everything we needed to know, because we made all the classic mistakes. It's like, right, now that we know what it's like, we know how to go over, we know what to expect, we know to be prepared for, we know how big the place is, how long it'll take us to get around, how expensive it is. You know, it you know, everything that we could have done wrong, we did. So at least we knew how to do it right after that, you know.
That was an advantage of it, yeah.
And the other thing as well, that when we were there, we saw that while a lot of the bands there are really talented, and especially where I think they kick the ass of a lot of Irish and English bands, is the drummers. Because they have like a big
drum
thing over there, drum corps,
and you see a lot of rudiments from the age of 3 or 4.
Yeah, so I mean, you'd have these bands with these amazing drummers, but the thing was that they all kind of sounded the same.
Yeah,
all the bands, they had the same kind of songs, the same kind of moves, the same hairstyles. Yeah, so it was like, we were like, okay, I always thought that the music we were playing was very American, but when I got to America, it was like, nobody is doing anything like this here. So we actually have a niche that we could get into. So that was two things that we learned from that tour. So when we decided to do the whole thing proper and actually relocate to the United States with proper visas this time.
Yeah.
No arguing.
Lesson number 1.
I was going to say that immigration remember you from the last time.
They did,
you know?
yes. And every year for 5 years, even with the visas, we did have to be taken aside and questioned because of what happened.
It was almost just part of course.
It was part of it. It was something prepared for. It's like, okay, well, I have my visa, everything's stamped, everything's in order, but I will still be pulled aside in immigration and questioned about what happened in 2005.
Every time they go, Mr. McMahon, hello.
They actually stopped in 2011, and that I haven't been back since, actually. So it took 5 years for them to start questioning us about it,
So, Conall, you landed in the States, you made it through immigration, you all shouted, yippee, there's no problems with visas and crap. You have your gigs booked, you get your van, everything is actually going according to plan this time. Where's your first destination, and how did you find the gigging life in the States on the back of your album, which you now have in your van?
How daunting was it?
How daunting was it,
yes.
Well, I thought it was tremendously exciting. Yeah. You know, even just getting into New York airport.
They're driving on the wrong side and it's not bilingual signs.
Even like, having to rent a van and drive down. So we went down to New Jersey because some friends of ours there. I mean, I'd visited there a few times before as well. It's called Wildwood. And some good friend of ours was living there as well. So that's where we started as our base of
as a base, yeah.
And even then we discovered loads of cool things, like the fact that we had amassed through begging and borrowing, but I think we brought over 40,000 euros was our, well, this is how we're going, this is our nest, this is everything, you know. And we realised that when you opened an American bank account, it took a week. For the money disappeared from the Irish bank account. It took an entire week
across,
to it's like, are they flying it over $1 at a time, or what the fuck?
Or is my money being impounded again by customs?
So it's kind of lucky that I happen to have just as well I have $20 in my pocket because this has to last me a week.
Just really quick about those instruments that were impounded.
We got them back eventually.
I was about to say, you did see them
get
again.
back
You did see them.
There was
Okay.
a happy ending to that. We got everything back eventually.
That was my biggest fear. I was like, I used to work in the airport. I was like, if you want, I'll hunt them down for you. Just like-
Yeah. I know a few lads in baggage, you know. So, you know, you're hitting the road and everything. You know, I'd say it stops becoming a novelty. I'd say it's like, you know, after a few weeks, it's like, oh, I'm in America. That buzz kind of wears off a little bit.
Not entirely.
But then,
Not entirely. I mean, well,
it didn't feel like work so soon. Like,
Well,
did
you still have a sense of wonder about it.
Yeah, a
definitely-
sense of wonder,
yeah,
exactly.
it definitely was work, and I mean, it's like, I mean, because there's a difference between, oh, I'm the guitar player in the band, and that's pretty much all I have to do. Like, they push me up in front of the stage lights, I do my guitar player, and then I go hang out with groupies. And it's like, well, that's not all there is to it. You have to get up on time. Everyone has to be mobilized and fed. Got to drive. I did a lot of the driving because.
In fairness, you lads shared actually after a while, didn't you? Like some of the driving duties.
Well, most of the driving. Well, I mean, I was like, if I'm going to be sitting for 12 hours in a van, I prefer to be driving than sitting in the back trying to read a book or a board or whatever.
That's
so
fair enough, yeah.
So I volunteered for most of the driving. Well, plus, I mean, Gavin did most of the work booking shows.
That was his end of
he
things,
was on
yeah.
the internet, and Dave did a lot of work as well with shows and with getting managers and music industry people to come see us. He was the phone guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'd be driving for so many hours. I'd be driving, Gavin would be on the laptop, Dave would be on the phone. Johnny would be passed out in the back because...
With a bottle of Buckfast.
Well, the thing was, Johnny was the
there's
ultimate
caffeine in
party
Buckfast.
animal. And I mean, it's this... I'm going to try and not say anything that might incriminate him now because he is settled down, has a lovely family and a lovely wife and a lovely kid. But he did...
God bless him.
He did live the classic rock and roll lifestyle for quite a while. But, I mean, that in itself was a job. And I mean, I partook in as much of the partying as you could because a lot of the time, well, I mean, we were broke. We couldn't afford hotel rooms or motels or whatever.
So if someone said they had a spare couch, you're going to take them up on that.
Oh no! Well, that's how it started. If someone said they had a spare couch, it was like no. It got to the stage where it was rule one. We load in. First thing you do is find us somewhere to crash. So everyone splits out. We called it the Charm Offensive. We actually named it
the Charm Offensive.
We
Put in
used
the offensive back in Charm Offensive.
we used that defense in Nottingham and it actually worked.
It's
So
what I do.
thank
So
you.
You know, you can't be shy about this. So you go to somebody buys a T-shirt and like, hey, cool. So we all partying back at your house afterwards, and like we had the whole Irish thing working for us. Like, oh my god, we get a drink with the Irish guys. Yeah, sure, come back.
You guys know like the Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah.
And,
Well, a lot of people expected us to sound like that, which is why we got put on with a lot of punk bands as well. But yeah, I mean, the part of the job was to party. You come back to someone's house, and it's like, well, they're there with the Irish. They invite their friends.
It's
we'll sit
expected
up and
of you
drink
if you're
and,
Irish.
you know, and we'll do this so that we can crash on the floor and wake up mildly hungover, get breakfast, shake it off, get back in the van, and repeat. You know,
was there any locations, you know, where you know this method backfired? You know, where you ended up back in a house and this guy's a bit of a creep.
strange, shall we say?
Yes, there has been a few. Mostly I would have to say we met some amazing people, and there were some who became very, very good friends.
I'm sure you're still in touch with a few.
Still in touch with them,
Yeah.
and every time we came through town, it was given that we'd be staying with them and partying with them, and they'd cook food for us and all this. I mean, there's some brilliant people, but yeah, we met a few weirdos too.
Because you know,
As you would.
I mean, we met one girl who used to like take in roadkill and amateur taxidermy herself. So like you walk in, it's my house. There's like dead ravens and fucking.
Hey, we all need a hobby, man. We all need a hobby. Like
it's like okay.
like a bit of Sonic the Hedgehog and chips in the morning. Like, you know?
It's like okay, where do you keep the people heads? You know?
Yeah.
she'd be like, "This is my ex-boyfriend." You just see like, ah!
It's like that video for No One Knows by Queens of the Stone Age. You can see them all at the end, you know, just all
Or
on
it's
the,
like, you
on
know,
the
you
wall.
just expect to open the fridge and just see loads of organs and formaldehyde. Like,
Farber beans, a nice bottle of tea handy and all that. Yeah. But
This is why I don't want to tour the States.
I don't know. We are some place where you fall asleep when you wake up and somebody's like waving a fully automatic machine gun around the room. It's like, I hope that's not loaded. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't.
depends what state you're in. South Carolina, great.
Some fucking altered states we've been in, but no, I mean that was it. I mean we met an amazing cross section.
Even like places like Boise, Idaho, you guys used to hit up a good bit. Like, you wouldn't think Boise, Idaho would be a
The
stronghold
breadth
of.
that you guys travel when I seen it, I would always shock
actually
me.
a really good
it's a
punk
huge
scene.
place.
There's a really good punk scene in Boise there. We actually came very close to signing with a record label from Boise.
Yeah.
And they're, as far as I know, still doing very well for themselves there as well in 32 records. But I mean, that's kind of what they were doing is similar to the Gig Smart thing. It was this guy was like, you know, fuck it, I'm just going to get a load of bands, get them to play and support each other and make a scene. Like you do see that happening in certain places. But so you know, when we moved to LA, we kind of tried to do that again with like, meet up with some Irish bands and go, let's check each other out and go to each other's gigs and stuff like that. But it's it's very difficult in a city like that.
When you guys, speaking of LA, did you stop through there on your first time round at all and thought this is a place for us, or was it later on more in the
it was
the second album run?
LA's a weird spot for that. I mean, really, we avoided it at first. We have most success in like suburbs and satellite towns and smaller places like that. I mean, it's like some of the best places we played are in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Did you have like street teams, like kids and t-shirts doing all the merch and all that stuff?
Well, that's the thing as a touring band. I mean, if you're like, you wake up 8 hours drive from where you're going to be playing that night. You're not really going to have much time to do some promotion or anything,
True, it's like, hi, we're here.
Yeah. And in LA, it wouldn't matter anyway. You stand out in the street giving out flyers. The only people you'll end up talking to are people who are swapping flyers for theirs. And I'm not going to your gig and you're not going to mine, but thanks for the flyer.
Yeah. And I remember, it's
like, oh, you're in a band? Yeah, get to the back of the
fucking So am I. When did you guys meet Scotty Hill from Skid Row? I remember seeing that on a video on YouTube. Check it out, guys. It's actually pretty cool.
It's a fantastic.
Scotty's just like, yeah.
Yeah, he just happened to be at the bar we were playing in Sarasota, Florida. I think he lives down there. Brian Johnson from AC/DC has a house down there as well, but he wasn't there that night, unfortunately.
With his Geordie hat.
Yeah.
We boys.
Brian Johnson. Dude, he just hasn't he doesn't love for Thunderstruck.
It just comes back to Thunderstruck every time. There's nothing wrong with that.
Funny, I'm learning how to play that song finally at the moment. Like it has to be done. Once I got Living on a Prayer down, it's like that's the next one.
It's kind of like My God Spiked was in the annoyance between your learning Living on a Prayer and Thunderstruck
It was a bit of a distraction. It took about 20 years of my life, but I wouldn't change it now. I had an amazing collection of anecdotes, some of which can actually be repeated, but not a lot of them.
Yeah. You're just lucky you're on a podcast where you can say the word fuck, so
there was some fucking went on as well,
I was about to say, that was one of my questions.
The group
Who had to visit the STD clinic? Most. Who had their pants down around their ankles most? And the old Jap boy.
I would like to say Dave Lodge, but he's too pretty for groupies.
Well, no, it was
Dave probably washed every day.
It was like his brother.
Well, at the time it was a very un-rock and roll.
Hey Dave, how's it going?
Because there was a time when 3 out of the 4 of us were actually in long-term, long-distance relationships while we were on the road.
2 longs in
one relationship. In different towns in America every couple of days.
Which left it up to the 4th member to pretty much mop up everything that was available.
Of which obliged.
And I'm not going to mention any names.
Yeah.
So it's people who know. No, actually, I made clues earlier on, didn't I?
I was just about to say, I think you hinted earlier.
It was basically like drinking the slup on the bottom of the tray in the bar.
It's like the whole thing about travel when you're young and then settle down later, and that's a thing that later on Johnny met his beautiful and lovely wife and has a lovely daughter and is totally settled down and is completely devoted to them.
He's a happy boy.
His rambling days are long over, but Jesus, man, he there's some stories I could not tell about him.
Yeah. You want to keep a friendship.
Oh no.
So
I did some terrible things myself as well.
Yeah, nobody's innocent here.
Yeah, I'm sure when you're going across America.
So in answer to the question, it was probably me actually.
Was it? Yeah. Conall had his bags around his ankles most times.
No,
yeah.
well,
see, we're lucky in Valnormal. All 3 of us have girlfriends. I think.
Right.
His band, the singer and the guitar player, are actually together. So that's that problem out of the way.
Yeah, again, we have a single bass player in my band. Yeah, I'm taking as well.
You have the single bass player. Conall's guitar player has recently become single and is quite in the mood for
dancing and gyrating.
He kind of came into me in the toilet the other night and propositioned me, and I was like, "No, I'm all right, man. Thanks very much. My girlfriend's outside."
This podcast is quickly turning into single musicians available.
Call 555.
Rock out.
So well, we got the sex questions out of the way. Yeah, woo!
Right, enough of that.
He was going on about them all week. I can't wait to ask this
question. As much as I would love to, even the 2 or 3 people listening to this, it might be too wide an audience to give you all the sordid details.
It might be 4 people if we start talking about sex.
Right.
The listenership
could be
but
we stopped now, so we're back down to 2.
So we're going to start talking about music again.
Well, the main thing for me is, who was your favorite person to bunk up with if you were out of the band? Because I've slept in a bed with the Lodge, and it can be a difficult thing.
Well, Johnny was pretty straightforward. If you 2 had to share a bed, there was an automatic gay wall was put up.
Yeah, Dara's the exact same.
Automatic gay wall,
separating down. And I never worked out whether it was to protect me from him or to protect him from me.
Yeah.
But he would just always build one. It was like, okay, well, there's the boundaries, no dangers, grand. There was also the whole head to toe thing as well.
Oh yeah, we've done that a good bit.
But I wouldn't do that in the van though.
No, it never works.
Well, you see, we'd ripped out the back seats of the van, so 2 people could lie down in there. Like if we're doing overnight, we did overnight drives where it's like pilot and co-pilot, 2 people sleeping, swap over.
Stay awake
for
Christ's sake.
We were silly enough to not have co-pilot though, so
yeah. Well, co-pilot wasn't always. I used to get Johnny for co-pilot. It was like, okay, look at the directions. Okay, merge onto I-10 West. Wake me up in 500 miles. Oh shit, yeah, we're on this we're going through 8 states on this one fucking road, okay.
Hello, Nebraska and Omaha, yeah.
Well, actually, that's on the 80. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Hello, Cleveland.
Hello, Cleveland. This is what, number
Cleveland's
1?
on the 90.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, this was from Florida to LA, sorry.
Is there any states or locations in the States you missed out on that you would have liked to have played? Any glaring omissions?
We didn't get to all the states. We think it was 42 or 43 of the lower 48 we've been through. So we didn't do either the Dakotas or Montana. We actually stayed away from the really northerly ones because I don't like cold weather. And it's only a short window of opportunity in mountainous, snowy places when you're driving around in a van with no snow chains. You know, you can only get up to the north maybe between April and August. Like after that, it's like get the fuck down. Nixon and head down to the deep south for the winter. Like
Cook me some food. There's actually one question I've always wanted to ask you guys. Why did you never think about hitting the more kind of rock orientated countries in Europe like Germany or Sweden or stuff like that?
At the time we had a choice. It was mainland Europe or America, and we did put a lot of consideration into it. I think one factor was that we wouldn't have to learn another language, just a few words.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah,
like sidewalk. Yeah, I mean, it could have gone the other way. I think as well that, because we all grew up in the 80s watching the A-Team and, Hollywood
ideas
movies, there was always the romantic thing about going to America.
Yeah.
America was the promised land.
Yeah.
And it was always the
Bruce Springsteen has a lot to answer for.
There is, yeah. And then there's the whole romantic idea of the road trip across America. And that's what I loved doing when I was driving. Especially when you get out into the Southwest.
Yeah.
Like you're going through New Mexico, Arizona. They're just
I've been through
haunting,
there,
beautiful.
Gorgeous
I would
places,
hate the fuck to break down because you're 100 miles from anywhere. But it is fantastic just to see like wilderness as far as the eye can see. It's like untouched. Well, you're on a major highway.
So it has been.
And there's still junk here and there, but I mean it's still amazing. Rock formations that have been millions of years.
It's better than breaking down between Castle Bellingham and Tully Allen, and
although
they have their charms as well, I'm sure. So one thing I used to really look forward to about you guys when you used to come home from the States was you used to play in the Button Factory or whatever you call it, the Temple Bar Music Centre. You used to have a big Christmas homecoming. Did you guys, did you get together with your family, or was it still kind of, let's go home to Ireland, make solid money, let's keep gigging, and we might see our family on Christmas Day or something like that?
We still have to do the whole family on Christmas Day, obviously. Well, obviously, I mean, it was coming home, and it's like, okay, well, of course I'm going to see my family, because, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, hope you made up the spare bedroom, because I'm back.
And, like, how did your families, kind of, I don't mean cope. That sounds like it's stressful.
Yes, they've coped. They're still alive.
They've got by on the notion that their darling sons, who they had aspirations for, went off to live in a smelly van in a smelly country with smelly people.
Well, funny enough, they were always very supportive. I mean, they bought me my first guitar and my second one after I broke my first one, which was funny. But
we'll say it no more.
I had a little moment of frustration at a rehearsal and ended up smashing the bloody thing.
And everyone laughed at you.
It wasn't punk rock frustration.
No, it would have been really cool if I'd done it like on stage in front of thousands of screaming fans, but no, I did it in rehearsal in front of the rest of the band like 3 days before our first ever gig. I was like, Mommy, Daddy, I need a new guitar for
Brilliant. Argos job.
So, yeah, I kind of touched on, like the Irish coming home and stuff like that, and then you guys decided to go to LA and you signed with management, Associated Talent Management.
Yeah.
And
this was the result of thousands of hours spent by Dave on the phone. Like, he was all about this, getting ourselves some management, some representation. It wasn't enough to be just playing 6 nights a week to anywhere between 2 and 200 people.
Yeah.
Usually somewhere in between.
You're sick of taking those risks. You're kind of saying you've
It's
done
like
your groundwork.
we could be
Let's
playing
get
every
some
night
solid.
of the week, but still, nothing's going to happen. So Dave was like, he spent hours on the phone. He got, he called anybody and everybody. And, I hate that shit, cold calling, sales, whatever. But, he stuck at it. So, I'd be driving for 12 hours. He'd be talking on the phone for 12 hours. And, Gavin was the one booking the shows.
But then you all knew your roles anyway.
Well, we all had our roles. Yeah, I mean, like Johnny was the main cook, the main looker after. Because, we had a limited budget. We had like $24 a day between us.
I remember that. I remember reading your blogs. Actually, I used to really enjoy reading the lads' blogs on MySpace. I was like, a new week, a new state, a new story.
I remember seeing many a video or many a shared blog and stuff like that, and I'd read and I'd be like, this sounds so exciting and all that stuff. It sounds great.
Well, I left out some of the bits where it was kind of crap, like, like there was like the time that I went to the supermarket to buy a packet of noodles and a carrot, and then they went, that'll be 34 cents, and I was like, break the carrot in half and weigh it again. Okay. that'll be 28 cents. I can just about afford that.
You've made it when you have to split a carrot in half. So you moved to LA, you found yourself a pad, I take it.
Well, when we got to LA, it was difficult then because, first of all, it was just, we'd be passing through every couple of months on our way past. And when we get in, we'd have meetings and talk with management people and this and that and sound it out. And in fairness, we started talking to this guy, Kevin Raleigh, from Associated Talent Management. And in fairness to Dave, like anything else he does in life,
had Dead Kennedys on their books and stuff like that.
He had some very successful people still on his books as far as I know. But in fairness to Dave, like in everything he does, he is absolutely meticulous. Yeah, which is good.
Is that a large trait? Is it?
It could be.
It is. Yeah, it's
a really good thing when it comes to poring over a management contract and looking for exactly what to do.
What's the catch, basically?
Yeah. So it was basically, Dave with some help from Gail Saron, who's actually Johnny's mother-in-law now, but she was in management as well. So they helped us negotiate this contract. But it was really, Dave put a lot of the work into it. Like I say, he's meticulous, which is good for that.
It's great to have someone like that.
It's not so good if you have to listen to the same bloody solo from fucking Yellow Ledbetter over and over again for 16 hours while he gets it just right. But
they really do
Sorry, Dave, I love you, but you ruined Pearl Jam for me.
They really do love Pearl Jam. And
I thought you meant the blues artist Ledbetter there for a second.
No.
Peter Lodge is the same. He's
with the vocals there.
A different kind of her.
I always say to Peter, I was like, you look like you should be, like you're a lost member of Pearl Jam, and he's like, yeah, what's wrong with my look? I'm like, nothing. Go right ahead. He's like, you look like you're trying to be Liam Gallagher. I was like, hey, we all have our preferences, okay?
So when you lads, you were shopping around LA, you came up with the idea of an acoustic album. Was that always something that was on the back burner, or was it something to just kind of keep people interested until you negotiated these?
That kind of happened for two reasons. One was at that point we had actually moved to LA, and we were sharing a house with another Irish band from Kildare called Jekyll. They've since changed their name to Caven, I think.
Are they still stateside? Are they?
They're still. Well, I think they're down to one original member now, actually.
Okay.
But one of them is still over there.
His name's Kevin, not Caden. So
no. Oh dear. But anyway, it got to the stage, right? It meant between us and them, there were 7 of us sharing a house with no air conditioning in the San Fernando Valley. Anyone who's familiar with the San Fernando Valley in August will know that it's absolutely crazy to have no air conditioning. It's like 120 degrees with forest fires the other side.
Mad dogs and Irishmen this time.
I'm not seriously. It was just the Irishmen. I'd be out in the yard just praying for a passing police helicopter to give me a breeze, At
the time, you were kind of rocking a pretty cool cowboy hat, though.
Yes, well, as
you did rock that cowboy hat very well.
Thank you very much. It was
nice, wasn't it?
For anyone who's not familiar with me, will know that I have absolutely no dress sense whatsoever, and I just wear what the fuck I want.
You fucking did that time.
No matter how stupid it looks.
So the acoustic album. I remember watching interviews with Dave, and he was saying stuff like touching on Alice in Chains and Nirvana and Pearl Jam stuff that he grew up on.
All those unplugged gigs were
influence
major influence. But I mean, it was also from years of just showing up at house parties and breaking out the acoustic guitars and having a sing song. But then it got to the stage where we realised when Michael Spike were out on tour in America, a lot of the time we'd have difficulty filling Monday and Tuesday nights. But it's like any night you're not playing is a night you're losing money because you still have to eat and you still have to put petrol in the van. Right. So any gig is better than no gig. Yeah. So we started looking up, and it's like, well, we're going to be passing through this town on the way to here. So let's just have a look on MySpace and see if there's any pubs that run open mic nights.
That's
and
a
we'll
good
get up
idea.
and play 3 or 4 of our songs acoustic, and then we'll sell some CDs to get us petrol to get to the next town. So overdoing this and getting smart, we end up more often than not. Then on Mondays and Tuesdays, we do an open mic nights, doing acoustic versions of our songs. And I was like, let's just fucking do a live gig, recording it. Well, especially at the time as well that we were starting to think about recording a second studio album, but by this stage it had been almost 5 years since our last studio album. It was like, we have to put out something.
It was a long time. I remember thinking,
we have to put out something.
When are the lads going to capitalise?
Well,
let's do it.
We spent 5 years gigging every day rather than in the studio recording. I think it changed us a bit. I mean, it tightened us up, but it did change our sound. You notice there is a vast difference in the sound between the two albums. Not just because of the 5 years, but because of at least 3 years of that was gigging 4, 5, 6 nights a week. He changes musicians, obviously, as
there's
well.
certainly there's much darker elements on the second record.
Well, it's funny thing as well is I think
it is big time. The other reason, that's a good point. It's
the other reason I really wanted to put out the acoustic album in between was because I'd say maybe about it's just a guess here. Gavin will correct me, but I think maybe closer to
Mr. Facts, Gavin.
More than half of the material on the acoustic album would have been stuff that I wrote, whereas on No Is Not an Answer, more than half of that would probably be stuff that Dave wrote.
Okay.
So it you know, No Is Not an Answer is definitely more a Dave-centric album. I mean, some of the songs he's written are amazing songs. Like Red to Blue is still one of my favorite Mike Got Spiked songs, and that's
same here.
That's Dave. Dave wrote everything on that. He wrote the guitar, the vocals, the drums, everything.
Yeah. That's one of the first tracks I show to someone. If they say, like, what's Mike Got Spiked? Oh, but this would be a great introductory track. It's fantastic.
Yeah, if you want to get to know the guys. You know?
That's it. And then, of course, I mean, Gavin has some fantastic stuff as well. Like I think actually in No Is Not an Answer was the first one we have where Johnny actually wrote lyrics for a song, because he's always more into the riffs and the arrangement, but that was the first time he actually submitted lyrics for a song. We're like, why haven't you done this earlier? This is deadly.
I was about to say, what was that something that he kind of did off his own accord, or he's kind of pushing at him or hinting at him to
we always been saying, like, we always wanted to get him in singing, but he refused. Johnny only sings when he's like halfway through a bottle of vodka, and then try and stop him.
Like many an Irishman.
Sure, as long as I would drink, I couldn't give a fuck.
It's funny that you say about the acoustic one, because you had a listening party for the acoustic album in the International here, and that was actually...
Oh yeah, we weren't at that though.
He's not. It was
live via Skype.
Dave was there. I don't think you were there. I think Dave was the only member who's actually there. But that was actually the first day where I hung out with Val Normal, and everybody thought I was in the band, but I wasn't.
You just had that look about you.
Yeah. People were like, "Oh, you're the bass player in Val Normal." I was like, "No, that's some other guy." And then I was like, "Jeez, I wouldn't mind being in this band." And then luckily 2 months later. So thanks for that.
No bother. I'm glad I could have been assistants while being nowhere in the same vicinity.
You know what, Conall? I trawled through YouTube last night, and I came across a couple of comments that people have left underneath your videos.
Oh, deadly! I've never actually read them.
Yeah,
I've never read these. This is going to be interesting.
In relation to your song A Version, which I believe was filmed over the road. The video was filmed over the road.
Rush, yes. St. Catharines, actually, 2 videos we've done. 3 all. Rush all our videos have been filmed in Rush.
It's just meant to be.
It's great. Yeah, All You Need. All You Need was recorded in Rush.
That's right.
In the theatre somewhere.
The Millbank Theatre.
Millbank Theatre, okay. Then To Have You Here was also recorded. Actually, To Have You Here and A Version...
I actually haven't seen
To Have You Here and A Version were both recorded in the same location, just with different lighting.
Just in St. Catharines National School PE.
Across the road from where we are right now.
We dimmed the lights just enough. If it was just that little bit brighter in the room, you'd be able to see finger paintings on the wall behind us.
Junior infants, everybody. It wasn't my gut spike. So here you go.
Ours weren't good enough.
Here's the first comment that I found in relation to the Aversion video. Some guy wrote out, I thought this was how to spike guys' drinks and avert the effect. I was sorely disappointed.
Oh, I think he put at least 30 seconds thought into that one.
Was he? I don't
Actually, no. I have to say, just talking about comments, my all-time favorite put-down comment about Mike Got Spiked was after we had gotten turned away from U.S. immigration in 2005, and somebody wrote up on the GigSmart forum. I don't know who this is, but if you're out there, this is fucking genius.
Yeah, and thank you.
It's like, I hope they get put in Guantanamo Bay and forced to listen to their own shit music.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Because you know what? The lads went back to the States a year later and they were stronger, so...
Yeah, and I still listen to my own shit music from time to time.
Yeah, and you're still masturbating profusely. Now, we shall move on to...
You weren't talking to me there.
Hi, Pam. How are you getting on? So yeah, YouTube comments. Another one. I don't know if this girl was a serial killer or a close friend. Who knows? But she said, nice one, dudes. Dead proud. I am like a mother with babies that turns out to have X-Men abilities, which leads me on to the next question. If you had an X-Man ability, what would you like?
Ooh. I think this is where we get a bit geeky now.
I don't know.
Not yet. We're holding off to geeky for a little while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, could I be like the bad guy from the really shitty Wolverine movie who like, had all their powers?
Oh,
yeah. But then got killed way too easily, actually.
That's what he wants to be. He wants to be greedy. He wants all the abilities.
He was like a spin-off Deadpool. It wasn't Deadpool. It was like Weapon X. Not Weapon X.
What's his name? Ryan Reynolds. That's the problem. If it started off with like Rutger Hauer instead, maybe.
Yeah.
See, there you go. Colin's greedy. He wants all the abilities. Now, this is the last YouTube comment, which I think is pretty cool. And it actually rhymes with your original bass player. It says, great band. The bass player suffers with piles.
Did the bass player have a rough case of piles one time?
I don't know, but it's funny because if you look at the Aversion video, you see that myself, Dave, and Gavin get a lot of FaceTime, but not so much Johnny. They keep repeating the same shot where it comes up behind
I don't
him.
even think this is it.
So actually, you see more of Johnny's ass in that video than you see of his face, which is why you actually call it ass version.
Ass version. Or Asperger's.
So maybe somebody there was paying way closer attention to Johnny's ass.
Well, I don't even think this is in relation to the Aversion video. I think this is just off some random clip. Okay. Even still, they must have been scouring the internet to find Johnny's lovely bum.
Maybe it's Jonathan Miles at Piles of Styles, you know?
Jonathan Piles. That's brilliant. So yeah, that was your fantastic people in YouTube.
Wow, I'm very disappointed. I thought people who wrote comments on YouTube videos were really nasty and hurtful.
They wrote like, dude, this is so gay, and someone like, no, it isn't.
Some guy did say, if I wanted to go listen to System of a Down rip-off bands, I would, or I'd look somewhere else. Yeah. And I'm thinking, yeah, you did your homework there, man. Yeah. You listened to so much My God Spite, they call him an SOAD.
Well, in fairness, I mean, I can see where, I mean, obviously...
Tendencies, the schizophrenic tendencies.
Well, that's it. I mean, even when a band develops their sound, you can still sometimes see, and there's occasional times where we would wear an influence on our sleeve. It's like, there's bits where it's like, yeah, okay, that's a bit Incubus-y, that's a bit Fate No More, that's a bit System of a Down, that's a bit Chili Peppers, that's a bit... Simon and Garfunkel.
Wrong with Simon and Garfunkel.
Let it colour your music. Don't let it completely take over.
Well, that's the thing, you know.
Exactly.
But I mean, there's riffs I've had. It's like, this is the best riff that Ruben almost wrote.
Or Morello. What's that Morello song? Break out. Yeah, they were another good Irish band.
They were kind of the catalyst for us moving to America as opposed to Europe, because they did it about a year before we did.
Morello did, yeah.
And they were sending back golden reports of how well they were doing. In fairness, they started building up a real crowd, and they got themselves, I think they went through 3 record deals in a year, so obviously they made themselves open. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we're signed! Obviously signed with guys like, I have $5,000, I'll sign you my record
here's
label.
An advance.
But, here's an advance. And then they go, actually, we're getting out of this record label and signed to another one.
We're just going to kind of go move around.
Yeah, so they were kind of, the catalyst for that. We said, well, if they can do it, we can fucking do it.
The first time I ever seen you guys playing in City Centre was actually with Just a Word. And Morello and My God Spite.
I miss that band so much.
Yeah, I remember those guys.
They're kind of hard to find on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just a Word or Jaw, J-A-W.
Oh, and also, hello, we're Mojo Fury.
Oh, Mojo Fury.
We're Mojo Fury.
Oh, there's too many great bands coming from the north, actually. It's fucking,
they piss all over us, band-wise.
You have fucking Rupture Dogs as well. You fucking, who else?
Band Called Boy.
Yeah, nowadays Band Called Boy, yeah.
Loads.
Even the heavier bands, Astronaut.
I think that's where we went wrong. That's where we went wrong. I went wrong by being born in fucking Carrick Cross instead of 50 miles further north. Then I would have been like, oh, Nordy band, yeah, we love Nordy bands, we do. Yeah.
Do you know, like in Crafty Fuzz, we're mates with the guys from Astronaut and who are from Armagh, Tyrone, and there's such a they opened up actually the north, like the network of music up there. We gigged in like Down and Derry and Belfast, and they're so professional.
I love playing up the north because people actually go to bloody gigs up there.
Yeah, they're responsive.
Dublin still has a bit
not
of
cynical like it is down
going
here.
on. It's like, well, if I go out to a gig, it's like I'm going to see like Glenn Hansard playing Whelan's.
Like,
otherwise, I don't care.
Or Bell X1 or someone like
that. No, I haven't said that. Glenn Hansard is he's really good at what he does, but if it's not a vibrant, young and new.
If you're looking for alternative heavy music,
then again,
don't
what do I know about
a
vibrant new rock scene? I'm in my mid-30s. I barely leave the bloody house.
I don't know what the kids are listening to these days, but it's fierce loud. It's fierce loud.
Some of them are okay.
Does it have to be so fucking many swear words in it?
Actually, that's my dad. That's one thing my dad always said about My God Spite. It's like, do you have to swear so much?
Yep.
I was like, fuck yeah! It's like, yeah, well, you never get played in the radio. It's like, we're never getting played in the radio anyway. I use distortion.
Well, once they hear a down-tuned guitar, they're like, oh, forget
that was my secret. And that was one thing I was always very proud of, that only about a third of our set was in drop D. Most of my fight is in standard tuning. And I used to love this.
That's a surprise.
I used to love this, getting up next to a metal band or down to drop A, fucking flat.
Drop A.
And it's like,
you can't even play a chord.
And I'm like, you know what?
Finger on the
We're bloody heavier than that. I'm not even standard.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true, actually, because a lot of bands think, oh yeah, the more you tune it down, the fuzzier you're going to be, and it's going to stick out more.
Well, that's a trick I learned.
You guys and your dynamics actually
in
carry
the last album,
yeah.
especially, when we were working with Jay Donaghy, another Irish guy, but he's working over there in Perfect Sound Studios in Los Angeles. Fucking
he did
lovely,
work with, it was Grammy nominated with Brand of Horses and stuff like that.
He just did some stuff with Stiff Little Fingers there a couple of weeks ago. I mean, he's working with, he had Murder Dolls in there, your man from...
Joey Jordison.
He ended up borrowing some of Dave's cymbals, actually.
I remember that story.
So, yeah, we lent our cymbals to Joey Jordan. I don't think it was for the actual recording. I think it was just for a video, but...
Okay, yeah.
It was just to look like he was playing cymbals. I remember one night I seen the video on Crying and I was like, I know them cymbals. I've been in the same room as them cymbals.
I can tell they're Dave cymbals because they're polished to within an inch of their life.
Conall, there's actually something I want to touch on here, if we can get a little bit...
He just touched me on the knee. He just
serious,
touched me
I
on
suppose.
The knee. I need an adult. He's touching me.
Yeah. No, go away from me. A little bit serious. There is another Irish person that you came across over in America who, I don't know if she took you under your wing or vice versa, but Lorraine Maher, a good friend of yours. Have you any memories of Lorraine?
I didn't know if we could bring this up.
I've many fond memories of Lorraine, and it was funny. It was actually through Jay, who was recording us in the studio. He was sharing a flat with his then fiance Sarah and her friend Lorraine.
Yeah.
And we went over to him. Like, he hadn't seen any Irish people, hung out with Irish people in ages. Like, come over, we'll fucking drink and talk shite. And people will know when I say your man, they'll know who I'm talking about. Right? My man? Who's my man?
Yeah. Or I will, means no. I will, yeah.
So yeah, we came over and Lorraine was out playing a gig, whatever. But she came in, we were all half drunk, and she's like, "Oh, this is Lorraine. She plays guitar too and sings." I was like, "Oh, lovely. I should play us a song." All right, she started singing, and just like.
Magic voice.
I think it would be safe to say I fell in love straight away. Like, you know,
I've seen
easy to see why.
I've seen the girl twice myself, and both times I was like, whoa.
Oh, she was fantastic. And I mean, obviously, extremely talented, gorgeous young girl, and great crack, and just lovely, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, we kind of, I don't know if there was any wing taking either way, but it was kind of like, yeah, it's like, you're part of the gang. We hang out, we have the crack. We'll go see her when she's playing. She came to see us when we were playing, and we were fortunate enough that she joined us for a couple of songs on the Unplugged album as well. And
I've seen that. And you kind of collaborate on was it like local LA TV network kind of videos and stuff like that.
Myself and Johnny and Dave played backup on her EP, and it was kind of like trying to. It was when we were trying to renew the whole ethos that was Big Smart in Dublin in the noughties.
Yeah.
You know,
find
it was
your own.
Like, well, you know, this is the girl from Offaly. Then there was another band from Limerick called We Should Be Dead. They were a very good band as well.
I remember.
So it was like, you know, let's go hang out to them. Let's just, you know, there's a bunch of Irish bands come to LA to make it, and they all end up
stick
paying
together,
more rent than they can afford, paying to play gigs to nobody. It's like, fuck it. Well, let's.
And did it work? Did it work for a while? Or was the idea good?
I'm told it fell apart after we left because we were the only ones really putting in the effort to get everyone together.
Yeah.
You know, there was still a bit of Mayfainism going from all the other
Mayfainism, yeah.
And which is, you know, but you know, if I've just always been at that thing, like, you know, if a friend's band is playing and I can go, I'll go. You know, hopefully they do the same for me, because otherwise you're just going to end up playing to nobody, really, you know. In
fairness, Conall's come and checked out my band. I'm sure he's come to see.
Actually, no. The last two times I went to see Val Normal, I went home before you started playing because there was just too many fucking support bands. I'm sorry, lads.
That's not me. That's my singer.
Hey, yeah, it's 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. Yeah, have a couple of beers. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night. I'm getting a bit drunk. Yeah, it's 12 o'clock on a Saturday night.
The Crafty Fuzz gigs, he always asks what time we're on at, so he knows, you know.
I give Dara shit for that all the time.
It was a time. This may have been. I don't know if this is the same night that you were talking about in your last podcast, but the night that you did the Kurt Cobain tribute. with Crafty Fuzz supporting you in February.
Yes.
That's right.
I was at that gig. It was, Crafty Fuzz, Daddy, haven't seen you in ages, couple more drinks. How many more bands are on it? It's a fucking 4 more bands and then Valve. Fuck that.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, I love yous, but I'm hammered. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and there's still 2 more bands before you even start.
I still look at our album launch poster and I'm like, there's just too many on that poster. And I say to the lads, let's have 2 support acts. No, we need to go. I was like, no, 2 support acts then us.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why I haven't actually seen you play in a while.
Yeah, there you go. And
the last time I went to see you play, you didn't even play any Val Normal. You just played all this kind of 1950s stuff.
Oh yeah,
that's a whole other story. I mean, that's an in-joke.
That was a fantastic wedding.
That was a night.
Actually, let you can tell that rock and roll story while I go dispose of another recycle another can here.
Yeah, that was Dave Lodge's wonderful wedding celebration in Swords in Carnegie Court. And he asked me, Dara, and Peter to play a few songs, and we were on tour in the UK at the time, so we couldn't get around to doing it. And obviously we did learn the songs. And then Peter decides to ring me the day of the show. I was telling Conall this in the bus down. Peter rings me the day of the show and goes, I'm off the hook. I don't have to play anything. Bye. And I was like, you could have got me off the hook. I haven't a clue of any of the songs either. I was like, I'm not really in the... This is when me and Dara and Peter weren't really talking. So I was like, I'm not in the mood to play music. I just want to go, get drunk, have a buzz with my friends, go home, sleep, wake up with a kebab in my pocket and eat it. As you do on a fucking... On a wedding.
That's any normal wedding.
Yeah.
You know?
Val normal wedding.
But
Val normal wedding.
we decided to get up and I think we played like 2 or 3 songs and then I realised we were bombing very badly. So I ran. I just threw my bass in the ground and ran. And then Waffles picked my bass up. A good man, Mr. Ill's first name, Waff.
You're not used to playing with braces on.
No, I was wearing...
That's what it was.
I was dressed in a 50s attire as well, and my girlfriend was dressed in a 50s attire, and, you know, she was driving...
And the hair was moussed a little bit, watching.
It was a bit slicked back, yes.
Yeah.
And she was driving me wild also, and I just kind of wanted to hang out with her and, you know, rub her leg and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And luckily...
Tap her elbow.
Thank Christ Conall was there because we needed someone to save the day, and he strapped on his superhero white Telecaster and...
That's
Superhero.
not my Telecaster, but I would love one. They're gorgeous. I would also love one of these.
There you go. Frosty Bav.
I arrived in here with one hand as long as the other, and now I'm...
There you go. There you go.
Your favourite Evian.
Yeah, favourite blue Evian. So, you know, that's the acoustic album done. And what was the next stage for you guys? You're thinking, right, enough of all this jiggery pokery. Let's get into the nitty gritty of demoing for the second
Jiggery
record.
Pokery, that's our Irish dancing and gambling combined.
yeah, jiggery pokery.
The next stage after that was to go in and do another full studio album. We'd been, like I say,
The public gets what the public wants. Yeah.
Whether they fucking wanted it
Or
not.
what? Yeah.
We wanted it.
Yeah, it was a long time in between.
It was a long time in coming, and this was the all or nothing. Like we were recording this in Perfect Sound Studios, which when you think about it, it's pretty.
Is that where you did Dry Riser as well for the Curb Dog?
Well, it is actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same spot. It was very new. I think Dry Riser, when we were recording there, was one of the first things that had been recorded in the studio. It was still half built at
Testing
that
the
stage.
desk, basically.
And so Jay was all about getting us in there. He was just being made head engineer in this studio, and they're starting to look about getting some decent clients. But they booked us in for the album. I think we took 2 weeks. And then he called us back and goes, listen, we've some 41 in the week before you, and we've the Murder Dolls in the week after you, so your session's been cut down to 9 days.
Right.
And I was like,
You're kind of like the guinea pigs.
And we were like, we spent 3 months doing Caveat Emptor. Now, mind you, that was like in spurts of 2 or 3 or 4 hours recording at a time.
Yeah.
Like, they put it all down to 9 days. It was like, we need to know this shit backwards. Actually, we need to know it forwards because that's the way we're going to be recording it. But you know,
we were planning to reverse the album. Yes. Yeah, it's like, fuck you Beatles and your 8-track and fucking George Martin with your backward tape. Get to be fucked, like, yeah. So
that was the thing. So we went in there for 9 days and lashed the shit out of it. But I mean, we had... Again, like we had everything. Like Jay had some lovely guitars there as well. I didn't even end up using my own guitar on that album either. Funny enough, he had a lovely silver burst Les Paul, and
all your guitars stayed at home basically.
My guitar was actually still in Ireland at the time.
Okay.
I didn't even have my guitar.
You came prepared, everybody.
I didn't even have my guitar in the country with me. Like I think it was crazy. And then the funny thing was, I then went home and came back with my guitar and left it in LA. So now Dave has it. I couldn't even afford to ship it back.
Leave him at it. Yeah.
But yeah. So we went in, tracked the living crap out of this album. 9 days, just lashed it down.
Did you write the album on the road? Like, was it kind of like, you know, when you're on your tours in the States, you kind of...
Some of it was. I mean, every now and then
how did those songs
we'd
come
have
together?
a time to rehearse, like, or, you know, sometimes we'd be staying in a house that was like, yeah, make as much noise as you want. It's like, oh, fuck, we get a day off tour and let's just jam out some riffs and
some random gaff.
Some of it happened. Like, I mean, there's yeah, I think 2 of the songs were written in South Bend, Indiana. There was one song I come up with the guts of in Memphis. There was another song I started in Florida, finished in California. You know.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You should point out that, you know, it was the formation of the album was in America. Was Dave very much influenced by what was happening with, you know, the recent Obama thing in regards to Red to Blue? And
well,
stuff
funny
like
thing
that?
about, and when you look at whatever the I'll call it a fan video. I think it was actually Johnny made it.
Yeah, it was a lot of JPEGs compiled of facts and figures.
But it was funny because the song apparently has nothing to do with the American presidential race.
Okay.
Like Dave, all you can really tell Dave's lyrics because they make absolutely no bloody sense except to Dave.
Yeah.
No, well, he tends to write in metaphors.
Yeah.
Words that just roll off the tongue a certain way. It's
kind of like how Deftones were.
Yeah,
his brother writes the same a lot as well.
Whereas I tend to try and make something that if you actually read it, it would make sense as a sentence.
Like a short story.
But then again,
almost.
like maybe you know, it's just a matter of preference of style. Like mine might just seem too bloody obvious, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas you can listen to a song 100 times and still not know what it's about or what it means, what it's actually about to you. That's what it's about. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks it's about. But it's not about the presidential election. So it was just funny at the time. It was 2008. It was like, oh, well, everyone's, you know, turning red to blue and red and blue states. Yeah, so it was topical for about a week, but ended up in a video, and still, you know, so many years later, it just looks like, oh, a bunch of liberal fucking socialists. Obama supporters.
Some guy commented on
a lot of
YouTube
people
was
like, you've no business talking about American politics. It's like, well,
yeah, that's exactly what they said. Irish guys talking about American politics, get away and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what? There's one section of that song that gets me all the time. You know, like spit on me. Like, how do you guys come up with those sections? You know, like.
That song was all Dave.
In general,
I think that song was written around that drum line. He just wanted that really awkward and
like for Gav to sing and to follow the snare hits.
Seriously, he had to explain that one to me 3 or 4 more times.
No, it's like not it's.
I was like, you know what? Just put it down on the tape. Let me listen to it for a week, and then I'll come back. That didn't happen straight away.
Yeah.
That was like,
because personally speaking, as a drummer, Dave Lodge, like, geez, he'd be a hero of mine back in the day. You know, I mean, he never just fucking.
He's the best drummer I've ever played with. You know,
man, he's a genius. He's fantastic. He looks in between the beat. He's kind of like, he has no problem with the standard 4/4, but he knows that there's stuff happening in between that can throw people off, but not trying to be flash for flash's sake. It actually works.
Well, that's the thing that took us, and I'm sure it takes every musician a long time to learn, is like when you stop showing off and start really playing. You know, there's a huge difference, because when you're showing off, you're playing just ever so slightly beyond your ability. Yeah. Which means that the amazing stuff you're doing is just slightly subpar.
That's right.
Whereas then if you take like someone like, well, my favorite bass player would have to be Bill Gold from Fate No More. Yeah. You listen to a Fate No More song.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It's like, even if you listen to Midlife Crisis, it's just one note the whole way through. It's pretty much dum 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 dum. But if you listen to his playing, it's like, it's so understated, but everything is sublimely perfect.
So tasteful.
Everything, all the nuances are there. It's like, this is something really simple played with 100% confidence and class. Yeah. Rather than it's like something you could play unbelievably well. It's like, oh, that's simple, I can play that, but I can't play it as well as he can.
Yeah.
There's a certain beauty and simplicity. Certainly,
you're dead right.
We got a lot more into that as we went on as well. I mean, for a lot of stuff I know is not an answer. Like guitar wise, I'm thinking like, I didn't really put in any solos or anything flashy or fancy. It's like, that sounds pretty easy. I challenge you to fucking learn it.
Yeah. You know, even with Sleeping with the Enemy, I remember like when, you know, after the intro, everybody goes, it's like, Jesus Christ, I think my speakers are about to blow up. There was something really, really rocking about that track in particular. I don't know what you guys did.
I think that could be the sub-octave on the guitar.
That would have been, the octave rumble. And you know what? I kind of went back into, you know, that kind of reggae-ish kind of Michael Spike
fun
thing.
kind of sound.
It kind of reminded me of the old school Michael Spike with new.
Well, that's it. I mean, the first 2 songs Michael Spike wrote were Speechless and 5 Second Heaven, which were kind of like, let's mix ska and metal, you know?
Yeah.
And then then we got Gavin in kind of seriously, and they were like, "These are the songs we're working on." And Gavin was like, "Yeah, it's really cool, but I fucking hate ska," and I kind of moved away from that. I was like, "I'm gonna try and sneak it back in every now and then, because I do like it,
Yeah. So we started talking about the second album and the tracking and stuff. I believe Johnny laid down the bass lines for this album, was it? But he wasn't an active member soon after.
No,
what was the story?
Well, you see, the problem with this album, we tracked it in 9 days. We finished tracking on Patrick's Day 2010.
Okay.
The album, I think, came out on Patrick's Day 2012.
Right.
Which is what happens when you don't have a lot of money and friends are doing work for you pro bono. Jay, basically, we tracked the album in 9 days. If we'd had enough money to book another 9 days for him to go in and mix the album, we would have had it done in that time. We didn't.
Yeah.
And Jay was like, "Don't worry about it, lads. I believe in this album. I'm going to mix it on my own time."
Yeah, yeah.
Now, he doesn't have a lot of time.
Yeah, he's busy with
but the thing is, I listened back to that. It took me a while, actually, because after the band kind of disbanded, I didn't really want to hear anything Michael Spike related for a while.
Yeah.
It's actually only in the last couple of weeks I listened back to this album. It's like, that is fucking brilliant. Even if I do say so myself. If you want, it is available somewhere on iTunes, I'm sure. Talk to Dave or Gavin. They have all the details.
Because I was kind of thinking that, when we got you on board for this interview, I was kind of thinking, does he really want to delve into Michael Spike talk much, or is it raw, or is it fresh, or
Well, the thing is, Michael Spike has been like a huge part of my life for the 10 years that it was. And
it was a part of life for a lot of people, man.
Times.
From the outside looking in, you've influenced a lot of people.
I wouldn't change it. And if I had to do it all again, I'd do about 98% of it all again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that's another question. Is that you now, as far as original music goes and pursuing it, are you happy enough now just to kind of look at other bands and kind of go for it, lads, I'm not part of that stuff anymore? Or is there, if the right offer came on board, just say, oh yeah, there's like a tour in place or there's an album in place, would you be tempted to hit the road again, or do you think you've done your
Is this
touring
a trick
days?
question? I'm not fucking dead and buried yet. Jesus Christ.
Do you want mediocrity?
I might be approaching middle age and I might be playing other people's music to pay my rent.
Do you want to play golf for the rest of your days?
I'm so bad at golf. I need to find something else to do.
Golf. No, but you know what I mean. If there's a right offer to come along,
lawn snooker.
Yeah. If the right offer came along, if a band had stuff in place and we need a guitarist.
Well, that's why I've twice at this stage volunteered my services for the next Dead Jesus Rodeo album, just because I have some fucking.
I was going to say
I have a creativity within me that needs to be released like the Kraken.
Release the Kraken!
Release the Kraken! Conall has done his research. He knows all about Risa and the Kraken.
But the good thing is, with a Dead Jesus Rodeo record, you can literally say whatever, and you can just come in and go, I want to do 3 songs to myself, and you're allowed to do that.
Okay.
Production is at a minimum.
I'll tell you what, I'll just send you the songs when they're finished, right?
It's the biggest, it's like the most sonic freedom you could ever come across in your life. I think that's why we've done it.
It's everything we can't do in our proper bands.
Yeah, because we're told.
Right, well, the only thing I can't properly do in my current band is play original music.
Grand. If you want to come in and literally play a whole track yourself.
I've alluded to this so many times. I'm in a deadly band right now. We're called DeLorean, back to the 80s. I actually play bass guitar in this band. I'm down 2 strings, which makes it 33% easier.
Do you find you have much more room to move about now because you know so much more on guitar?
2 things I found about playing bass. One, it has actually changed my outlook on when I'm playing guitar and bass kind of riffs, because guitar I was always very root note based in my riffs.
Yeah.
For Michael Spike, having one guitar player and it's all about the heft and the chunk.
It's up to
all
you.
Very root note based in it. And then I'm like, well, actually the bass is doing most of that. I could work around a different shit on guitar now. So the kind of music I write just for fun is quite different now that I've started playing bass.
We can approach them 2 different ways now. You can say you could have the bass line in one head and the guitar line in the other.
And the thing I love doing as well, which was lovely from multi-tracking, is I love playing guitarish kind of lines on the bass above the 12th fret.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like a guitar. It kind of sounds almost like an electric piano when you're up that high.
Yeah,
so it's lovely stuff you can do with that. The other thing I found, of course, while playing bass, because it's mostly root notes I'm doing, and as well, when I'm playing fingers, I have the thumb holding the guitar steady.
Yeah.
I can rock the fuck out and throw the guitar all over the place. Whereas
about.
actually playing guitar, I kind of have to stand still and look what I'm doing,
That's why I don't like short scale basses. If someone hands me a 30-inch scale, I'm like, I don't want to feel like, I hate if a fretboard literally like goes over my palm like that, I'm like, I want to feel.
Or even the fact that because I use very light gauge strings on an electric guitar, that if you move too much, you're going to affect the tuning.
Yeah.
Whereas on a bass, I could be jumping off shit, you know.
Did you buy the rock bass?
I did. I bought the rock
Richards.
bass from Mick Richards, who is responsible for many demos I've recorded over the years, and some of the DAT tapes I mentioned that are sitting on my attic.
For my record as well. So I think
I think
a couple of demos and albums from myself. Back
definitely Cousin It and Michael Spite have recorded many demos out there. I'm not sure if Harmonious Deformation did or not. I think we were already called Cousin It by the time we started there.
HT.
Available in Harmonious Deformation Vision. Harmonious Definition. That should have been nice.
He certainly gave the Val Norma record the kick up the hole that it
He's a
needed.
genius. He's an absolute genius. Mick
I have to
Richards.
say, I do enjoy your album very much. By the way,
Thank you. I enjoy both your albums very much myself.
I do have one thing.
Likewise.
I do have one thing, and I wasn't going to say it.
You may have said this to me at a gig recently.
I may have. Was it something I said when I was really drunk? As in, lads, I really love your band, but
It was just me you were talking to, so you
Yeah.
can say what you like to me. I'm
Right.
the pushover of the band.
well, the problem is, no, I shouldn't say this because I know Gavin's
So am
going to
I.
be listening to this.
yeah, I know exactly.
It's like, seriously, Metal Gear Solid, amazing song. Gavin, amazing vocalist, but seriously, lads, you didn't have to put that on. That whole soliloquy, it's like, well, it's ripping off Speechless for a start. But
Yeah,
I
and
know,
American Psycho.
But, you know, it's like, so I love that song. I would play it to anybody as my favourite Val Normal song, but I don't play it because of that soliloquy in the middle. Sorry, Gavin. Sorry, Dara.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peter. But
I-
sorry. Do you have a karaoke version of the song?
We may do.
arrange
We may do.
The radio edit.
I disagree now, but that's just my own personal opinion.
I just thought the song says as much as it needs to. It didn't. That was overkill.
Yeah, I know.
And
everything-
again, I wouldn't have said it, but I've just had a couple of Evians, and thoughts are
Mystic blue
flying.
water.
Thoughts are flying a little freer than they
Yeah.
should.
It's okay. I say rough things about my band on this podcast all the time.
I gotta say something.
Yeah.
I'd say something really bad about my band, but they wouldn't appreciate me for that. So I'll say something bad about myself. Hang on a minute, I gotta think about that for a while. Is there anything bad about me? No. You're like, I know it.
we could talk about your recent surgery. You had emergency.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah.
So I had my
Conall
alien
was a
embryo
sick
removed.
boy.
That was it. He was attacked by a facehugger on the way home from
Yeah.
Carrickmacross one night.
Oh yeah. I thought she was just some young one, like, you know.
You should be so lucky.
She was standing in a field. She
Yeah.
just said, "How are
She
you?"
was outstanding in her own field.
She says, "You're that boy from My God's Fight. Hey, start over
Oh,
here,
yeah,
hey."
yeah.
Slurry spreader, hey.
Aye, none of your fancy stuff. Just horse it in, hey.
How about you? How are you fixed for the shift?
I'm bringing the shift back. No one says the shift anymore.
Will you
Yeah, that.
will you shift her or will you meet me mate? That kind of
Yeah.
conundrum.
Yeah, I haven't heard that since that was like back in my grungy teenagey days.
When I was
It all about
15,
the
I heard
shift, like-
shift.
Down
That
the
was about
disco,
it.
you would have heard that.
I think it's still there. It's just something you only say when you're 15.
Yeah.
I break it out every now and again.
Yeah.
Every now and again. Oh, I got the shift last night. Like, she's your girlfriend of 6 months. Shut up. I got the shift last night, right?
Yeah. The shift. What an amazing word. So, yes. We've got Mr. Barry Monaghan in towards the end of the project for No It's Not an
Yes,
Answer.
A
indeed.
fantastic bass player and a fantastic
Goddamn
man.
fantastic. I don't know the boy too well, but he's a fantastic.
He's a lovely,
Yeah.
lovely
Really
lad.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also has fantastic David Tennant-like hair.
Does! Oh my God, he does.
He doesn't even like Doctor Who, but his girl does. So I'm guessing she's responsible for this fantastic hair.
Were you trying to go for the kind of David Tennant?
I was trying to bitch. Yeah, what do you think?
I like it.
Yeah,
and when you
yeah.
say that, I was like, you got the David Tennant going as well.
You know, he is my favorite Time Lord, I have to say.
Easily,
He is,
easily.
yeah. Sorry, lads. By the way, if we're going to talk about Doctor Who,
Let's leave it for the next few minutes.
any of the 2 or 3 people who are listening to this know where I can get my hands on every episode ever from 1963 to 1989, because I've watched the
BitTorrent's your only man.
I tried that.
It's very hard. I couldn't find him on BitTorrent either.
Sorry, we're not condoning illegal downloading, everyone.
I would have tried that if I condoned illegal downloading. And
That's
had I tried that, I probably would have downloaded the entire Tom Baker series and then found out that it wasn't supported on my laptop and I had to delete the bloody
It's on
thing
Netflix.
again.
That's where I'm getting it all at the moment.
Yeah, but you're in for a big shock when season 5 ends. You're going to be like,
I know,
You're
yeah.
gonna have to troll through the interwebs.
Someone
for
told me you're
Series
missing
6
the
and Series
50th episode.
Series 6, Series 7, yeah. Series 8.
I've only got Matt's hits
Welcome
for a series.
to the Who-universe. We're going to start talking about bloody sci-fi.
The best theme tune in the world ever.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing a Doctor Who t-shirt now. You can't see this now, yeah.
It's kind of like a Reservoir Dogs kind of, or not Pulp Fiction kind of tribute. Yeah.
It would be nice if it was Reservoir Dogs, then you'd be Reservoir Ducks. But no.
If they had all the doctors walking in a row like that, there's a t-shirt.
That would be cool. I'm sure somebody out there is making it right now.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Along with the I Don't Shave for Sherlock t-shirt, yeah.
The one thing that got me is what happened. Like Doctor Who just stopped in the mid-90s. Was they went to they tried to break America.
It started. It ran up to 1989, and I've only vague memories of this from seeing on TV as a kid. I actually. Yeah, so it stopped, and then they made a movie in 1996 with Paul McGann.
It's up on Netflix, and someone told me don't go near it. It's a bit rough.
Well, if you can handle the first episode of David Eccleston series with Rose or the pizza, it's that bad.
Oh, it's that bad.
So once you've got to the stage where it's like, okay, I love Doctor Who enough that I'm prepared to watch a shit episode and not write it off.
An hour and a half long episode.
No, it was a straight to TV movie. I mean, it's not.
Oh, it wasn't even released on video or anything.
But the funny thing is, when you look at him in that, he looks just like the second face over of the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. It's like, oh my god, the Doctor was, what was that? Probably, I don't know which president. Americans come in and tell me which one he was.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say,
who was your favorite assistant so far? Like, I don't like Billie Piper normally, but I really did like Rose.
She's great in that. I'm in love with Amy Pond. Wait till you get to series 5, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Is she the ginger?
Yeah.
I heard she's the fittest ginger on the planet at the moment.
Apart from me.
Apart from Roscoe here, yeah. But
pretty bushy.
I haven't had quite enough avians yet to find you sexually attractive.
Keep this man in here. Where's that bolt and chain?
But
sorry, what time are you heading on?
Are you asking?
So come here. I think we're for the Mike Got Spike chatter. I think we're wrapping up pretty soon anyway.
What are you doing now? We were obviously not going to talk about the end because it is a very difficult thing. It's like asking someone to explain
no one wants to talk about the end of a band.
Yeah. Sure, why not? While we're here. Well, after we'd finished recording the album, Johnny got married. And we all came back and we did the whole ceremony thing here. And it was shortly after that he realised that they were about to have a kid. And he was like, lads, in fairness, given this the best years of my life, but I can't afford to be travelling around, sleeping on couches, not making any money. I've got a family to feed now.
Yeah, got a kid.
Yeah.
You know what?
Understandable.
That is fair enough.
Yeah,
I mean,
completely understandable.
My best friend for so many years, still love him to bits.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like there was a big bust up or anything like that. It was like,
went from Ballyfermot to fucking all the by roads of
America,
America.
Like I
LA
said,
and
the
everywhere
breadth-
in between.
The breadth you guys travelled, the length of it was like unbelievable.
So after that, it was kind of like, right, well, we were still then, we spent the next 6 months mixing the album, and although Johnny had officially left the band, it was like, well, this was part of your life's work as well. So he was very involved in the mixing process as well. So he still had...
That's great that input was there. That's fantastic.
I mean, you couldn't just turn around and go, well, you're in the band, you know what? Fuck you, we'll get someone else in the
that'd be probably pretty
replay all your bass parts,
you know?
But I'll do it on a mandolin, you know? It wasn't going to happen.
That's fantastic that he's on it, you know? That's fantastic.
But so while all that was going on, we decided, well, when the album comes out, we're going to do a big tour to promote it. And we'll get Baz in to help us. Baz, Barry Monaghan, lovely, talented. He's
fantastic.
He's my backup bass player in DeLorean as well at the moment. That's where I'm going next, actually, to make sure he can fill in for me.
Make sure he doesn't fuck up
after the blue.
I won't fuck. I don't want to make sure he doesn't play too well and make me look bad.
They never call you again.
I'm out of a job.
But so he came over and he played with us, and that was kind of where it started ending the last straw for me, because at that stage I was getting kind of sick of the fact that we had recorded an album that we needed to push, and the new songs in the album were at this stage nearly 3 years old.
Yeah.
And we weren't writing any new stuff because we can't write new stuff till we promote this album. And it started becoming a yoke around my neck. It was like, I really, really want to be doing something new, but we're not. And then we got Baz in that brought in some life into it. Like, let's go out and
rejuvenation.
And that would have been an amazing CD launch week. if somebody hadn't fucked up somewhere in the CD duplication, that we went out on tour to promote an album that we had absolutely no copies of with us to sell.
I was wondering why they were a bit thin on the ground at the time.
That was September 2011, and as I said, the album eventually got into our hands for Paddy's Day 2012, by which stage I had
Didn't
already
really give a
left
shit
the
about
band 3 months beforehand. I came back just for that one last gig.
Okay.
I had heard it in Peter Lodge's car. He had a brother copy. And he put it my first year in the band. We used to listen to it a lot, and that's when I first fell in love with it. He was like, "Don't ever tell anybody I showed you this." I was like, "All right, fine. I'll just tell everybody in podcast 3 years later."
Well, there are the privileged few.
Yeah,
but obviously, I was a major decision maker in that. I said, "Watch it, okay, let him hear it," but nobody else. All right?
Don't worry. When it came out, I straight away went to Dave. Here, there's 15 quid, man. Give me the album. He's like, it's a tenner. I was like, get yourself a packet of crisps or something, good lad.
Right. You know, he probably did. I never saw any of that extra.
You
fiber.
didn't. I'm sorry.
Not even a point.
At least €1.25 of that should have been mine.
I can sort you out a bus fare back to town if you like.
Deadly, because it's €4 bleeding 20 in the town from here.
So that was that. You kind of parted ways with
we did, and you know, we went and did our own thing now. As I say, Gavin is living in Indiana, and he's got a lovely wife and a baby boy now. And
lovely boy came along on you recently.
Johnny's living in Southern California. He's got a lovely baby girl and a lovely wife. And Dave is living also somewhere in California near LA. He's got a lovely wife and 2 dogs, I believe. So rather than have a kid, he decided to have 2 dogs.
He was smart. He can get rid of a dog.
I, on the other hand, single musicians in your area.
Within a 5-mile radius.
If anyone's interested in a kind of David Tennant looking kind of guy, you know, come on down to Russia town.
I haven't got the sideburns, sorry.
We could sell you.
But I can travel in time forward at the same rate as everyone else.
And I remember I set up your Bebo page years ago.
Yeah, that was my first introduction to you.
Yeah.
I was speaking to you in the kitchen in there one night after a gig, and I says, you know...
Whatever happened to Bebo?
No, I was about to say Justin Timberlake bought it, but that's MySpace.
Yeah. Got eaten by Bookface.
Right.
That's it. Look how big.
Well, you know, no. The 2 things I remember about Bebo was that one, somebody else started a page about my band, which was just unheard of. It was like, oh my god, it's a fan page. We have fans.
But I remember thinking because you lads were you had MySpace, like when MySpace was registering hundreds of plays a day. You lads were in on it, like in terms of Irish bands. I just thought you needed another platform, which was Bebo back then, you know.
Oh yeah, it was the thing. The only other thing I remember about Bebo was that that certain long-term relationship.
Clickety, clickety,
Clickety, clickety, click. Bebo was, that's how that ended. It was like, hey, I'm coming home, tour's over, message on Bebo, you're now single. Oh, okay.
I got dumped the same way. I was like, clicked on one and I was like, by the way.
I can't even complain about that anymore. It's like, oh, what happened to you? I got broken up with on Bebo. And people are like, what the fuck is Bebo? It's like, there goes all sympathy.
You can't even side with me. I didn't get a love heart today.
If it had been Facebook, people would know what I'm talking about.
Single to nothing.
See, this is why I got a girlfriend who's in a band as well, so she completely understands. I'm like, can't make it tonight, got a gig. She's the first one to go, hey, have a good gig, see you later, and vice versa.
She gets it.
Yeah, she because I was
well, she gets it, and she gets it.
Yeah.
I've told her
getting it. No?
Yeah. That's what worries me. That's why I was there the other night. He'll tell you.
Yeah.
I remember I said it to Conall at one stage. I was like, "Do you see her? Do you see she winked at that lad in the front row? She's getting fucking better around here."
At least you're very supportive. You go to all her gigs.
I went to, and she says to me the other day, she goes, "Oh, you're finally coming to a gig. This is your first gig that you came to that you weren't playing at." I was like, no, it wasn't. She goes, yeah, and she got because she's smart.
Like, no, it wasn't. I'm playing at this one too.
She knew it was in. Because
she doesn't drink. She was like, oh, okay, hang on. You know, you came to this one because you play there, and she's like, this is your first one.
You're doing so well. And last week you're saying, you know what? I'm not going to even mention my girlfriend or tell any stories about her.
That's right.
And now you're in trouble. You may as well. You know what? You may as well finish that can. Have 3 or 4 more afterwards. You're going to be in trouble when you get home anyway.
Yeah, that's it. In trouble now.
The Evian bathwater has kicked in. So I think we're wrapping up today's podcast.
Yeah, we've been talking shit here for the guts of 2 hours, have we?
Guts of 2 hours, yeah.
This time they'll actually listen to it, though.
Right. Well, if
not because of us, because of you, because you're deadly and you're all that stuff. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming in. You were a fantastic first guest to get in.
It's fantastic to have you down.
Hang around and chat to fellow musicians. And sure, it's the next Dead Jesus Rodeo will have a bit of spikiness put onto it.
It'll have a bit of Pat got slapped and Mike got spiked.
Yep. Oh, that was the thing. That was where the other name came in. Some great.
It's like
friends.
Billy Connolly syndrome.
Yeah, I know he goes.
There's a band we played with up in Idaho, and they're brilliant, like you know. But they were. I can't remember the name there, so this is terrible. But the thing was
the lovely lads.
We're hanging out with them, and you know, half of the band were Mexican. And we're saying, "Oh, we should get the Mexicans and the Irish together. We'll call it Mick Got Spicked." Yeah, it never happened though.
I made a reference like that in our band when we were making our album. I'm wearing a Mike Got Spy t-shirt across the road, and I go, "Oh, it's Mickle Spickle. They're a Spanish mariachi band from Dublin." And then Lodge was like, "That actually did happen." I was like, "What?" And then he crossed the road and never finished the story.
Yeah,
so
that was the mix.
So now it's continued.
That was it. The band consisting of Mix and Spicks. That was us.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Conall's going to be collaborating on the next Dead Jesus Rodeo album.
I think he could do more. I think he could have a prominent place on this record if he wanted.
If he's bored over a couple of Tuesdays, no bother.
Oh, possibly, you know. I mean, I might be able to take a slight, you know, couple of minutes away from my usual busy days of masturbation and Netflix. So
yeah, well, they go hand in hand depending on which genre.
And
you're
considering
going
how
for.
Doctor Who influenced the last album was, I don't know much about the Whoniverse, but you know so much about the Whoniverse. So
no, only in relation to you.
So the next
they feed off each other. Yeah.
The next record could be complete like
yeah,
Doctor
Who.
Whoniverse.
We're gonna get Tom Baker on this one now.
Well, guys.
Well, before we go, one more thing before we go. I was meant to bring this up a while when we first arrived in here, but
you are straight, aren't you?
Yes.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Ish.
I'm only gay for you.
Stop.
We lost a very, very, very good comedy actor and director yesterday.
Egon Spengler, yes.
Egon is no more.
Mr. Harold Ramis died yesterday. What is anybody's thoughts on that?
I actually, when I seen the name, I said, I know that goddamn name from somewhere. And then I seen a picture of Ghostbusters, and I'm like, don't tell me Egon Spengler's dead. Apparently, they left a load of what's that American Twinkies? Is it? They left a load of Twinkies outside
imagine
fire
a
station.
Twinkie the size of New York.
Yeah, outside that
A
fire
great
station
speech
in
in
New
a
York.
film by any chance.
Yeah. And I just thought to myself, there goes a trilogy.
There
Did anyone see the picture they put up today?
Oh yeah.
It's an animated one of you know the Ghost Catcher.
Yeah.
It's Egon waving like that.
That's right. It's animated.
It's Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and I always forget the black guy's name.
Winston Sedgmore. That's not his real name. That's his fictional name.
And they're waving off to him. But man, it was heartbreaking. And then when I looked at what he done, he made Caddyshack.
I did
Groundhog
actually.
Day.
Yeah, Groundhog Day, like one of Bill Murray's best '90s films.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I seen him in was Dewey Cox. He played the rabbi record producer.
Oh, yeah, he was in his.
He was in Airheads with Brendan Fraser as well.
He was the doctor. He only had a short scene on that. Yeah.
He was in Airheads apparently as well.
Quite possibly. I haven't seen that in a long time either.
I am
Fantastic.
I am out on the street.
That's
I
the
am living
movie
rock
that
and
got
roll.
me into rock and roll. I was like, you know what? I'm going to play guitar. And you know what?
Yeah.
There's certain people. You asked this question earlier, and you kind of alluded to it. Like, what made you want to take up the guitar?
Yes.
And you know, I can tell you all the stuff about the spiritual side of me and making music. To get laid, and I'm still hoping it works someday.
So there you go. He's traveled the world and he's still trying to get laid, which brings us back to our single Irish musician
in your area.
In your area. If you're interested in anything you heard today, get in touch with us. Get in touch with Conall. He's not on Twitter because he has a life, but he is on Facebook.
I actually do have a Twitter account, and I tweeted like one thing and went, "This is shit."
I was saying
Hashtag this is shit.
hashtag I don't know my login details. So
But
fuck
get in
off.
touch. My drummer has a box full of no, it's not an answer CDs
I
in
knew
his
they were
shed.
somewhere.
Yeah, I was about to say
So we didn't sell them all. I've had a few people actually looking to buy them. I'm like, burn your copy and sell you that for 15 quid. Will that do?
sign it. Sign it.
A Tesco CDR.
Well, it'll be in, you'll have the track listing in my original handwriting, unless I get somebody else to do it for me.
It's Conall McMahon DNA on this CDR.
well worth
I licked the pen
$2.50.
before I started writing.
Yeah. You're not one of them annoying people, like when you're reading the book that goes, licking the... Did you ever see people who lick their
No,
cup?
that does my head in. Does my head in. Peter Dunnett's one of my Batman comics on the road.
Should
He
lick
was
your
like,
finger before you swipe on your Kindle.
It opened with that, and I thought I was going to say something completely... something different.
right, well... Is that it? Is anyone got anything else to add?
We can re-edit this so we stopped 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. So you get to go home now and do your thing. We got to sit here for another hour and kind of edit this stuff.
Oh, daddy.
Go inside and count each other's willies and stuff like that.
I get to spend the rest of the evening going, what the fuck did I just say to these lads? I'm gonna have to wait till this evening.
You're going to remember, yeah, when you see SoundCloud later
and
on.
then I'll remember, oh yes, there was some amazingly funny anecdotes I meant to share and completely forgot about. Oh crap, did I say that? That person would have been pissed off with me.
Sorry, come in for part 2. Actually, you can collaborate with Chris Mono next week if you feel
Yeah, that's
like
it. Okay, next week, the apology.
He gets a message on Facebook tonight. Dude, I think you're a bit inappropriate there, you know.
Gavin writes to him, "Don't you fucking darken my doorway ever again."
Do you know how much effort it took to be just a bit inappropriate?
Actually, one more question before you depart.
Oh, this is now you gotta end on a big fucking.
Who is the scariest member Mike got spiked when they were angry?
Well, that's the thing. That's a multifold question because Johnny can be very intimidating, but he has a heart of gold. But for example, we had a house party in Casa del Spite. We had this house in Carrickmacross.
The names alone here.
Before we moved away from Dublin, Quitter Joe's, but before we moved to America, we had a house in fucking Listunan in Monaghan. It was a one-horse town, but the horse died. But so we're having this big fucking house party. It was us and Just a Word. We'd played this massive fucking gig somewhere, and we all piled back
somewhere in Castleblaney.
Anyway, we're partying, and fucking everyone's drinking, people are beginning to crash out at this stage. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning, and the music in the kitchen is blaring. And somebody's coming up to me, he's like, "Oh, can you turn down the music?" And I look into the kitchen, and there's Johnny dancing around. And if you've ever seen Johnny dance, he has the fucking moves. He looks like a proper ninja fighter, but he also happened to have a butcher's cleaver in either hand. And he's like dancing around, like swiping these things all around. I'm like, how about you tell him to turn the music down? Because I'm not fucking going in there.
I've met Johnny Miles many times, and I would not want to spill his pint.
No,
the
not at all.
size of him.
Well, that's the thing. He wouldn't back down from a fight either. You know,
Yeah.
But at the same time, he is a fucking sweetheart.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're his friend and he's on your side, he will do anything for you.
Yeah.
I mean, the same with the other lads. I mean, I obviously I choose my friends very, very closely. You know, very, very carefully.
As many a man should.
And he's careful of his words
That's
also.
the thing. But then you get somebody like, you know, so like Dave, who's so happy-go-lucky, blah 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 blah. But if you piss him off, I mean, that's the thing. When you get the nicest people, when they snap, they go fucking crazy. I've seen that guy go batshit crazy after 2 bottles of Smirnoff Ice, man. It's not pleasant.
Never, ever anger a lodge. I angered a lodge at a gig once, and I fucking paid the consequences.
Whereas I think Gavin, if you piss Gavin off, he'll just fucking have no more time for you.
And that's it. He just ignore you.
He's like, you know, you know this phrase, he doesn't suffer fools gladly. Yeah. If you're a fucking asshole to Gavin, like, you know what? Fuck you. I've no more time for you. I'm not even going to waste my time sparing another thought on you. Fuck off. And
he'd see you again, just go hello, and
he'd walk right past you.
Yeah.
And you know, which is fair enough. Well, why waste your time with time wasters? Let the only time wasted be theirs. You know.
But in saying that, Gav's fucking. I always found Gav to be a bit of a tank.
That's the funny thing. Is I think it was Hugh Rogers started this whole rumor about Gavin throwing someone through a window. It was funny as shit. Like, but I mean, the thing was, people believed it because he looked like don't piss him off.
Yeah.
He'd throw you through a fucking window. It's like, you know, actually, I believe looking at him that he would. In fact, why is he looking at me like that? And the window and taking out a set square and a trigonometry.
Just like I can do that.
Yes.
Even little things with Gav. I remember one time we played in Rush, like at the back of a certain place, and
was that the place where we got upstaged by snow?
He was telling me this story. He was telling me the story.
Hey, we're rocking. Oh, it's snowing. Everyone leaves. Like, what the fuck?
The lads must have played like Rush about 20,000 times. But no, there's one particular gig where. They're a first time to this venue, and Gav turns around on stage and goes, "Hello, folks, welcome to our show. This is our first and last time we're ever going to be appearing here." Like he pulled no punches.
Oh yeah, well that sometimes happens. Like, you know, it's like when you get into a venue and it's like the public, all right, we're all ready for you now. It's like, are you sure you know what kind of band you're getting? But this happened. The worst time was in San Francisco. Sorry, this is going on for long now. We go up and we're like,
edit this.
They know what's going on here. It's like, yeah, you know what kind of band you're getting? Like, we're a fucking loud rock, fucking screaming. Oh yeah, we're grand. Yeah,
so don't start Ireland, fucking giving out shite to us when we're halfway through.
So we come in and Dave gets when he starts tuning the snare drum. He's like, bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop. Oh no, that's too loud. You'll have to. It's like I haven't even hit the fucking drum.
One kick drum was all it took for us one time.
Yeah.
In a sound check, one kick drum. Oh no.
But the thing is, you hadn't driven 8 hours to get to the show. We ended up. Can you imagine trying to do a full-on Mike on Spike show with brushes and the amps turned down to pre-valve level.
Oh, sorry, this is the acoustic album period, is it?
This is before, if we'd had the acoustic set at this stage, that's what we would have done. Instead, it was like, the words are rising.
And to this day, I still don't know why the lads didn't get an endorsement deal from McLean's or Colgate. You know,
Totally.
Leave the toothpaste and capped and all that kind of shit.
I use that as my argument for a relationship all the time. That's the first thing you say. What to do? Just fucking toothpaste uncapped, you cunt.
I leave the toothpaste uncapped all the fucking time.
I've been at many
just
parties.
Like breaking off the solid bits on the top of it.
Yeah.
It's like an impromptu cap made of toothpaste.
Or how about, you know, man, that's just shit you can't make up. That's great.
Yeah, I broke that pedal. I can't do that particular sound effect anymore.
Like when you lads used to roll into town and rush, there's a lot of guys, as I said before, like even like Chris, like from Crafty Fuzz, major fan. Babs, major fan. Like you lads really did. Like when you roll into town, this is how a band should do it. Professional. Those guys took a lot of, you know, influence from you.
You certainly opened a lot of people's eyes to alternative music.
Well, I mean, there was bands major like before us that opened their eyes to that as well.
And Batman, the bass player, he supports you guys as well. He's like, oh yeah, I played up, I got spiked. Yeah.
I used to use my affiliation with you to try and get pussy. I was like, do you ever hear him? I got spiked. Yeah, I know them. They're like, do you? I was like, no, I know the drummer. And he kind of knows my name.
Conall's like, I'm still a virgin.
I didn't say that. I said I'm still trying to get laid, like always. You know? Every day, that's what they work up to. Things to do today, get laid. Oh shit, I'm gonna leave that unticked again. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I'll use a pitch bender today. So
pitches love benders. No way.
So everyone, I think we were kind of wrapped up for today.
Yeah, we attempted wrapping up half an hour ago, and that
didn't
go
and Conall did actually admit that if we're going to run over, he could probably be the culprit, not even us.
At least he was honest.
Yeah. So, thanks very much, Conall, for coming in, and I hope.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, DeadJesusRadio.
We hope you had a good time as well as much as we did.
Yes.
Hope it was worth your trip out on the dirty tree.
Oh yes, indeed, yeah.
So,
at least you know where the studio is now. So for the next record.
Excellent. Yes.
Film, you know.
I'll come in here with my theremin.
Use whatever you like. If you
Carl's head was wrecked earlier on. He didn't know what that was called. He's like, it begins with a T.
Yeah, see? Carl's in the toilet like, yeah!
Eureka!
He's now playing the bongos.
There's a bongo in the toilet.
Yeah,
if you feel like playing it during your piss, go right ahead.
Help those
it's celebratory.
Rhythmically, yes.
It's a fantastic toilet to use, I have to say.
Yeah, you could use it as a vocal booth. So yeah, this is DeadJesusRadio with Mr. Conall McMahon.
DeadJesusRadio.
And radio.
When it's podcasting, it's radio.
Oh, sorry, yes. We're going to be rodeo when we're back tracking albums and stuff like that. Signing off for this evening.
The new record will be taking shape within the next 2-3 weeks because it's
what
March.
Shape?
Ooh. Could be rectangle, could be triangle.
I'm
never know.
I'm guessing me some sort of a polygon, like a dead parrot.
Or Dead Jesus.
You heard it here first. Conall's going to bring a dead parrot down.
The beauty of it is we don't know what shape.
Squawk no more.
We just know that
it's not resting, me lad. It's dead.
This way!
He went into cheesy town.
We just know that Hulk Hogan will have a presence on this next record. We can't say anymore.
So wouldn't like him when he's angry, apparently.
Yeah, and that's about all we're going to give away.
So this is Watchy Watchorn signing off from DeadJesusRadio. Thank you very much to our special guest, Conall McMahon.
I'm special.
This is Ross from Crafty Fuzz, thanking him again. And this is...
Me.
That's him.
That's
production head there.
That's the first word you've said in this whole thing.
Carl's a very quiet man. If he was a villain, he'd be that guy with the cat. He just would never speak. Yeah.
He's the guy in the band that just makes everything stick. And like with me and Watchy have our madness, and he puts it all together.
He
makes sense out of your bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He figures it all out. Any last things you want to add to that, Conall?
Any shameless plugs?
Shameless plugs. If you're getting married, hire DeLorean80s.com.
You heard it here first, lads. Give this man some money. He wants some weddings.
And if you're single, we'll post his mobile number up on the website.
In your area. He's sick of making, eyes of bridesmaids, and they just kind of look him over, you know.
Always the entertainment.